gentlemen, welcome to Ariel Helwani's MMA Show!
Back in your life on this Monday, May 6, 2019. Hello, everyone. I'm Ariel Helwani. Welcome back to the program. Hope you had a lovely weekend. As always, a ton going on in the world of mixed martial arts, but I can't waste any time off the top because look who is joining us in studio. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Absolutely. I remember I came to your studio. I was trying to remember what year. 2011, maybe? 2012?
Really?
Yeah, in New York City.
You were on my show?
Yes.
In studio?
Yes.
I have zero recollection of this. I was about to say right
I'm
at the top.
offended.
I think this is the first time we were talking in person on my show.
I came to your studio.
No?
Yeah, someone out there on the Twitterverse need to look that up and tell us what show that was.
Is it a Bellator thing that they set up?
No, it was. I was in. My brother lived upstate New York.
Yeah.
And I think I was in seeing him, and somehow I wound up on.
Before we had our falling out, or after?
Well, gotta be before.
Okay.
Yeah, has to be before.
Okay, we have a lot to talk about with this man. That's Ben Askren. He's actually competing in like 4 hours against one of the greatest American wrestlers of all time. Okay, I'm trying to build it up here.
I don't know.
And honestly, if they're listening to this late, it could be in 1 hour.
Oh, it could be.
But let me just run down the lineup because, like I said, there's a lot going on. We actually have royalty, and I'm not even talking about Ben Askren. Royalty waiting for us later on in the program, joining us in studio. This is a very fun day. 3:55, we're going to be joined by nutritionist extraordinaire Jorge Lockhart. He has some news to share with all of you, so stay tuned for that. 3:35, we'll talk to Cynthia Calvillo. She has some news to share, so stay tuned for that. Also, she'll weigh in on this weekend's UFC 237 main event. Her division, strawweight division, Rose Namajunas against Jessica Andrade. Arjan Bhullar was the lone Canadian to beat an American on the UFC Ottawa card, and that's good enough for me, so he'll join us at 3:20. Rory MacDonald in his first interview since that whole thing that happened last week with John Fitch. He'll join us at 3 o'clock. At 2:35, we'll talk to Daniel Cormier, the UFC heavyweight champion, about what happened or didn't happen with the Brock Lesnar fight, and of course his rematch coming up against Stipe Miocic. Is it a done deal? We shall find out. And at around 1:45 or so, we're going to be joined by the natural, one of the greatest ever, the living legend, Randy Couture, getting us set for PFL's debut on ESPN this Thursday, Long Island. But first, look at this. Ben Askren here in Bristol. Okay, this is so exciting. Okay, so it's currently live, 1:02 p.m. Eastern time, in around, what, 7 hours?
6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Beat the Street starts. So I'm guessing
MSG Theater,
Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden. I'm thinking I'll probably go on right around 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. You are competing against Jordan Burroughs.
Yes.
In a wrestling match.
Yeah, in a wrestling match.
This is real.
It's exciting.
This isn't like a work. This is a shoot.
This is a shoot, yeah. We don't do works in real wrestling.
Okay, but so
At least not to my knowledge. I don't know of one that's ever happened.
And I expect nothing less from you. But here's the thing. You're competing in 7 or so hours. Why are you here?
Well, I want to promote the event. I want to promote the sport of wrestling. I mean, that was, if you talk about all my motivations that led me to take this match, there's a bunch of them. But one of the biggest ones is to promote the sport of wrestling. That's where I came from. That's where so many MMA champions have came from. And the sport of wrestling just does something. It teaches great lessons to kids. And then on top of that, you Beat the Streets, which is a great charity. They're doing great things for the kids. And so, those two things are tied in. And so, listen, if I'm going to do it, I need to promote it. I need to get out there and tell people how great wrestling is for kids, what a great job Beat the Streets is doing. In New York City, they've added 150 high school wrestling programs and 3,000 high school wrestlers in the last decade. So they've been around 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually wrestled in the initial Beat the Streets. It was on the Intrepid on the Hudson River in New York Harbor. I wrestled in the very first event they ever had.
And how long ago was that?
That was 2010, May of 2010.
And so for something like this, considering the opponent, and this is a charity and an event that's near and dear to your heart, how much do you actually train for it? Or is this just part of the training for your upcoming fight as well?
I would say a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, this forced me to take my training a little more serious in the last month. Usually when I have a fight coming up about 8-10 weeks out, I'll take it a lot more seriously. I'll train no matter what, all the time. But I get real serious. So for this, I threw in a few extra wrestling workouts to the week. I kept up my strength conditioning. I was still hitting mitts with Duke a little bit. So, all that stuff. I had to get my diet down a little bit because I had to make 174 pounds yesterday.
Okay.
So it just allowed me to take things a little more serious. So I think it was good.
And as far as this is a big deal. This is Jordan Burroughs. You've never competed against him.
One of the best to ever do it.
Yes, Olympic gold medalist. Are you nervous?
No, I don't get nervous anymore.
At all?
I did away with that. No, it's like, listen, I'm going to go out and compete hard. I'm going to win or I'm going to lose. That's what's going to happen. And I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to go on about my life.
Wow. Nothing at all. There's like no anxiety.
I'm really excited. You know what? I started getting excited. Saturday, I coached the freestyle state tournament for Askren Wrestling Academy in Wisconsin. Saturday night, I drove home. I had to start my weight cut process. And on the way home, I just started getting really excited. Like, I love to compete. And so I started getting really excited. Like, I get to wrestle Jordan Burroughs on Monday.
Yeah.
I mean, not a lot of people have the opportunity to just essentially kind of get called out. Beat the street said, would you do this? And I said, yes.
Right.
To go challenge one of the best guys of all time that does something. And they just offer me this opportunity. So, yeah, I started getting excited.
Would you call this a dream match for you? A dream opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it would be like much more, from a wrestling standpoint, for a winning or losing standpoint, probably a lot better for me in 2010, 2011, when I was, at it more full time. But nevertheless, I'm around wrestling all the time. I coach at AWA. I coach at the Badger Regional Training Center in Madison. So I'm around it on a very frequent basis. And so, just put a few extra wrestling workouts in and let's just go see what happens.
And you have trained with him, though, right?
I have. So, yeah. And after I retired in November of 17, I just wanted to go wrestle with Jordan Burroughs. I want to see what it felt like. I watched this guy for years. I never worked out with him. So I knew the assistant coach in Nebraska. I bought my plane ticket. I flew down to Nebraska, and I worked out with him for 4 days because I wanted to.
And what was that like?
It was awesome. It was fantastic.
Who got the better of who?
He got the better of me.
Really?
Ariel, he's the best in the world.
Yeah.
Of course he got the better of me.
I don't know. You're an Olympian yourself.
I made him fight for it. I made him work for it. And obviously there's some positions I'm better than him at. But, over the course of a 4 days time span to get the better of the best in the world, I mean, that would be really difficult to do. I think the thing I got insight into how he works and how he does what he does. And it led me to see why he's the best in the world. And that's, I like being around people like that. It was fascinating. He tried picking my brain on the certain positions that I was good at. And so it was just a really good experience.
And so, as you may know, a couple weeks ago, he was on this program.
Yeah.
And before he came on, the night before, I got a text from you. Don't try to start things. There's only respect here.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
Absolutely.
But lately on Twitter, I've been seeing a bit of a back and forth between you two. So what's happening here?
Well, he instigated, so I'm not going to back down. I got to go after him on Twitter. But that being said, I didn't want people to make this to be like, an angry feud. Like, I like the guy. I respect the guy. That doesn't mean I'm not going to go out and try to kick his ass or pin him. I'm definitely going to try to do those things. And I think, he's got the same feeling about it, right? He's going to try to beat me up. But that doesn't mean we can't still have the same respect and kinship that we did prior to the event or right after the event. And I just feel like the world of MMA and the world of wrestling are a little bit different in those aspects. There's a lot of bad blood in mixed martial arts. And in wrestling, especially at the highest levels, you just don't see it because I think these guys have to spend so much time with each other, traveling overseas, wrestling foreign countries, that it just kind of, I don't know if it gets, when you're just around someone, honestly, Ariel, if you probably forced me to be in a practice room with George Masvidal for a year, we'd probably end up being friends.
Yeah.
Even though I think he's kind of an idiot.
Right.
And so I think that's what happens in wrestling.
Am I overstating this by saying that I can't recall like a non-Olympic wrestling match that has generated this much buzz? Like I honestly, and I will not claim to be a wrestling expert.
Yeah.
Like when was the last time like a random event, like this is not for any sort of Olympic.
I don't think so. I think
right?
I mean, obviously,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, the NCAA championships is on ESPN every year. That's a really big one.
But this is like a one-off.
A one-off, yes. As far as one-offs are concerned, I can't remember anything like this.
Why doesn't wrestling do sort of this sort of new thing that BJJ is doing these days?
It's hard. I tried twice. I tried helping out with 2 professional leagues.
Yeah.
You know what? It's really challenging because wrestling still has the Olympics, and everyone, all the best guys in the sport, look at that as the pinnacle. So then, if you ask them to do a one match, it's like, well, I have this tournament or that tournament, or I'm preparing or whatever, and it's really hard to get them together. Or, oh, I might have to wrestle this guy to make the world team this year, or I might have to wrestle that guy to make the Olympic team. And I think that's wrestling, though, it's a really tough thing to get guys to agree to something because with any professional league, the day you started out, it doesn't really mean anything. It takes years for it to mean something. And that's kind of the battle, right? I hope at some point it happens. It just hasn't happened yet.
Any talks of that right now? There's like a million BJJ ones.
Yeah, I mean, there was a one-off event that was supposed to be the first one of its kind, maybe in November, I think it was, but it hasn't really gone anywhere.
Okay.
I think the reason, I mean, obviously there's the money thing too, right? In order to have an event, you have to make it profitable.
Sure.
With Beat the Streets, I think they love this event every year because it's a really cool event. They love the cause. I mean, like I said, Beat the Streets has started 150 high school programs. I mean, the number is just outstanding. And obviously, there's just not Beat the Streets New York. That's just in New York. There's Beat the Streets L.A. and Chicago and Baltimore and all these other sites. So I think it's one event every year that the wrestling community can kind of get behind. And the biggest stars show up tonight. We're gonna have David Taylor and Kyle Snyder and Jaden Cox and Yanni Diamakahalis. I mean,
are they competing or
they're competing? Yes.
Oh wow!
The best in the world, the best Americans in the world are competing tonight.
Wow.
Yes.
One interesting and fun byproduct of this match being put together is it has started a feud between Chael and Jordan Burroughs.
Yeah, I didn't really love that.
What happened?
I didn't.
What didn't you love? Chael's?
I did.
Chael's
Okay,
words?
here's the both of them had a lot of truth in what they were saying. Truth. Now, I like saying truth, but some things don't always need to be said.
Okay.
And so I felt like they kind of put each other down, essentially, both of them. And I just felt like...
So it started with Chael extending an offer, right?
Correct. Because after Jordan was on your show.
That's right.
Yes.
He said he's going to fight at least once in MMA.
Yeah.
And then Jordan's like, add a 0.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was rude?
Well, so
Chael felt like he was spitting in his face.
Of course. So, let's start out with number one, and this is the part where Jordan made the mistake, is Jordan said, this is not about money. I just want to go do this. So then if you're gonna say that,
right,
then someone offers you $50,000 for one night's work, which, hey, for most people that's great.
Yeah.
And if you're saying it's not about the money, not then to come back about the money, that's kind of like, well, you can't come back about the money when you said the money didn't matter.
True.
So that's really difficult. And then, there was a lot... the amateur wrestling system in America does not generate a lot of its own revenue. That's kind of what Chael was saying, right? There's a lot of people who donate to, they love Penn State, they might donate to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club or the Living the Dream Medal Fund like Chael was talking about. And that's true. Chael didn't need to put it down so hard, in my opinion. Listen, if a rich guy loves Penn State and he wants to give money to Nittany Lion Wrestling Club so people can train for the Olympics, he could do that, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. So I just felt like he didn't need to go so hard on that point. And then on top of that, I think Jordan, if you probably found some way to find his real value. Now, it's hard that it is just one fight, right? Because no one wants to put someone on for just one fight.
Right.
But it probably would be greater than $50,000 in my opinion because he just has such a great personality. He's got a really good following. I think he would be worth a little more than that.
Do you believe him? Because I got a lot of people afterwards saying, oh, he just says that to put his name out there, but he doesn't really want to fight.
Well, I spent 4 days with him.
Okay.
We discussed this issue.
Oh, okay.
I would.
But that was back in 2017.
18. So beginning of 18. So we're, a year and a half ago. Listen, I haven't spent years with him, so I can't totally read through him. Right. I felt like he was genuine about it. I feel like with most wrestlers, they see other guys they either competed with in college, high school, wrestled against, going and having a lot of success. And they obviously, for him, he's the king of the wrestling world. He sees other guys having success. I mean, he probably killed the guy like Marty Usman. Right. I mean, it probably wasn't competitive. And he says, well, damn, that guy's the best in the world. Or Colby Covington. Colby Covington sucks compared to me. I could kill that guy. He's probably, those thoughts are obviously going through his head. And he sees these guys having success. So obviously there is that intrigue from a guy who's had that much success. There's an intrigue to see, well, how could I do?
Right.
Now, for him to go reach those levels, he's going to have to put 2, 3, 4 years into this to build himself up because no one goes from 0 and then they go to the top, right? That just doesn't, that's not how the sport works.
But if I'm like a coker, sort of like what he did with Aaron Pico, wouldn't you just pay him a couple of years, keep him in your sort of system, and then try to build him?
But Jordan himself said he doesn't want to do it as a career. He said he wants to do 1, maybe 2, right? He didn't say. So if Jordan said, I want to do this as a career, I'm sure he'd have offers tomorrow. Right. I'm absolutely sure of that. But he didn't. And the other thing is, obviously, now he's been competing at a high level in wrestling. I think this is his first world championship is 2011. So this would be his 8th or 9th world championships he's been to. At that point, he's been training at that level. I'm sure that listen, I can't guarantee. I don't think he wants to do it for another 10 years. Okay. I mean, that would just be my guess. And so I like I said, that back and forth between Chael and Jordan, I didn't really love it. I like both those guys. Yeah. So to see them go at each other like that, I couldn't really get into it.
Okay, fair enough. This kicks off a big 2-month stretch for you because obviously Las Vegas, July 6th, Jorge Masvidal.
Oh, that's 2 months from today.
Yeah.
I didn't think.
How about that? Yeah.
Perfect.
You have never fought in Vegas.
I did. My last fight.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Dummy. Okay, so but first time International Fight Week, of course.
Yeah.
And you went to the press conference. He didn't go to the press conference. I spoke to him after the press conference. But by the way, did you ever find out why?
No, I've never. No, I didn't ask.
Okay.
He said he had a reasonable excuse why he couldn't go.
But you killed it. Like
Yeah,
you
I had fun.
didn't really need a dance partner there.
I mean, listen, his whole vocabulary consists of 4-letter words. He's not going to add a lot to the press conference, for God's sake.
But it's good to have a foil.
It is, but he's not going to add a whole lot to it.
Dane is your foil up there.
Yeah, so I mean, I did well on my own.
Okay. But he really, like, he was on the show a couple of days later.
Mad, it's so funny.
He does not want to talk about you. Like he threatens to end the interview when I bring you up. Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's it. He said,
Wait,
we're done? One more, and we're done.
Well, it was so funny on the Joe Rogan show, and I cut clips because my wife was watching part of it. And, you know, Joe is a man, in my opinion, man of the truth. And George kept trying to get off the topic. And then Joe would say, well, no, I don't think you're being fair here. I don't think this is totally true. And it was funny because he made George respond. And, you know, what you see is there's no real reason why George is pissed. There's no real reason why George doesn't like me. He somehow created this thing in his head,
right,
and he has all this anger behind it, and he can't even put into words what it is.
Do you think
can't
he needs
say
that? Like
maybe
he's just making this up. So
I would say if I had to put words into his mouth for him,
right,
I would say he's pissed that a punk white kid has came into the UFC and is making over double him, and I've had no history in the UFC. And so, you know, in his head, that's unjust, and he doesn't like that, and that's unfair. And, you know, to that I would say, well, listen, there's a reason I've made my brand so valuable, and there's a reason I get paid what I do. And if you look at any type of metrics, which you have, Ariel, so you can verify this for me, is my numbers are looking pretty damn good, George, so suck it.
Wow. Do you believe that's it?
That's what I would venture to guess, that they have that feeling. I mean,
how much did you get for this fight? If you don't mind me asking.
You can Google it.
No, but we know those numbers aren't
on the
real.
last fight, I made $350. That's public knowledge.
Is that flat? No win
no.
bonus.
There's that show and win together.
Okay. Why don't you get rid of the show? You don't need that show win thing. You're a draw.
I win every time, so it's all right.
Okay, that was a good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. And what do you think he's getting?
Well, I've never got not paid a show bonus.
Right.
I'm sure win bonus. Sorry.
Right.
His numbers came. I mean, you're right. They publish these stats.
Yeah, but
so I think
always...
for his last fight, he might have got 76 and 76.
Okay.
I think it sounds right.
Wow.
I'm not sure.
You're getting like double him if that's accurate.
I believe so. Yeah.
Wow.
More than double.
But yet they're not putting you on the poster.
It's fine. I mean,
isn't that a little
if
silly?
they want to sell some more pay-per-views and tickets, they'll put me on the poster.
But considering how hot you are right now,
you would think.
You would think, right?
Yeah.
Just slap your mug on there.
Yeah.
He also told me that he's been guaranteed a title shot if he beats you.
I already explained this on Twitter.
What?
Listen, when there's one party who's hesitant to come to the table, we have two parties here.
Right.
Ben says, okay, let's fight.
Right.
George says, I'm making excuses. I don't want to fight you. So how do you get this party to come to the table to make this happen? Because it was obviously, if you just look at the way this division was, it was the most obvious fight.
Sure.
How do you get this party to come? Well, you offer him something, right? You got to make the pot sweeter to get him to come to the table.
You got to dangle.
So they said, well, what can we offer him that we'll never have to pay up on? That's the best kind of offer, right?
Right.
If I said, Ariel, I'll give you $1 million if you can get down and do 1,000 push-ups straight right now. Well, that's a pretty good offer.
Right.
But I know you're not going to be able to do that.
Right.
So they say, well, here's a title shot. Okay. That sounds great to me. George says that sounds great to me, and he agrees to it.
Okay.
So I'm sure they did what they needed to do to get him to say yes.
So you believe they have no intention of actually going through this?
No, they probably know, just like I know, that I'm going to whip George's ass, and that's going to be the end of it.
Okay, so then that brings us to a very interesting thing. If Tyron Woodley, your boy, wins 2 weeks prior or 1 week prior.
1 week prior.
Yeah. What happens then?
I don't know. I think we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I mean,
it's starting to get to the point where it's like a little bit uncomfortable, no?
Really? I don't think it is at all.
I feel like you're both right there.
I mean, I don't feel uncomfortable at it whatsoever. I would say, here's my just intuition about it.
Okay.
I would say if Marty wins whenever he fights Colby, that makes more sense for me to fight him. I would say if Colby wins, the Tyron and Colby's fight makes more sense. That's just what my intuition says.
That's fair.
I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's who she's going to go with. That's just kind of what it feels like to me.
Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. You just fight someone else in the meantime?
I would probably try to fight Marty if he lost.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because Marty would probably bump down to number 1 or number 2 ranked, and I would probably at that point be at number 3 or number 4. So it would make a lot of sense.
You have it all figured out.
I mean,
nothing to worry about.
You know, when you get to the point you understand that there's going to be creative things that have to happen to get to where you want to get to.
Right.
And it's not all going to be like you go to 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4, right? There's going to be options, and so when I get there, I'll figure it out.
But you do want...
I have faith that I will figure it out.
You do want to win the UFC title.
Absolutely.
That is an important thing.
We'll get figured out.
Okay.
I can't tell you exactly. I did tell you one time
Yeah.
I'm going to fight George St. Pierre in the spring in Montreal.
Yeah.
I did say 2019. I think it's going to be 2020.
Oh, you still believe it?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I think I was a year off. That was my psychic intuitions. I was feeling spring. I was feeling the Bell Center. I was feeling Montreal. And I think I was 1 year off.
You think you'll fight George St. Pierre at 170 pounds?
That's what I'm feeling.
A year from now?
Yes.
How are you going to get him out of retirement?
I don't know. Figure it out when we get there.
This is something. I was not expecting this. Because honestly, I don't know which one is more of a long shot. When you said it back then, remember, because you weren't even in the UFC.
Yeah, I
back
wasn't
then.
anywhere.
You were retired, and no one thought that you'd be able to settle your differences.
Yeah.
Or now that he's retired, it's probably easier now because you're in the UFC and that's the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
What makes you feel like this is going to be a thing?
I just feel, I don't know, something about it just feels right. I mean, if I beat up George and then win the UFC title, there's a debate for who the best welterweight of all time is.
Right.
And me and George can settle it in Montreal, spring of 2020.
What's a bigger dream scenario for you? The George fight, which you've talked about, or the Khabib fight?
Wait, you mean?
Because you've said
probably George. I mean, Khabib would be awesome too, but I think probably George.
Why?
That's who when I started my MMA career, he was on the top of the welterweight divisions. That's who I'm looking at. I'm saying, okay, if I'm gonna go be the best, that's the guy right there. And so year after year, I'm looking at him, and then I get done with my Bellator contract, and the UFC thing doesn't work out, and I go to one championship. Well, George is still on top. I'm still looking at George. And then after I signed with one, I had a fight thing, and then I believe that's when his retirement was, somewhere in there. But it's still no one really believed George was actually retired.
Right.
You didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. And then it took him 4 years, but he came back, and then he disappeared again. And so I don't know. I feel like the Khabib George thing was real, and I don't know why it fell through. Probably some type of money negotiations, some type of. Khabib's 27-0. He just beat up Conor. He's got a lot of heat. If George comes in and beats up Khabib and then says, I'm done again, then that's going to be terrible for the UFC to market Khabib in the future. So probably something there. So I think that's probably what happened.
You don't believe him this time, that he's truly retired?
No, I do not believe that.
Wow.
Do you? Gun your head.
This time I actually sort of believed him.
Why is he still training all the time, though?
Yeah, because he's George. What else is he gonna do? He's kind of like he's a self.
He needs to get married and have some kids or something.
Yeah.
What do you think? The kids will keep him busy.
That's true. But he really has I don't say this in a mean way.
Yeah.
He lives a selfish life, right? Because it's all about him.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're competing.
Right. But he's not even competing now. He's just staying in shape.
Or is he?
Or is he? That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. Have you floated this idea to the brass?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I figure when time comes, we'll get to it. I mean, if I can't go win a UFC belt, it's a moot point.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Because if I'm 19-2, George doesn't want to fight me.
How are things with Dana? I feel like we really turned the corner in Atlanta.
Really?
I feel like things were really good there.
I mean, we had 5 words. We haven't really talked since then. But
really?
Yeah. I mean, I gave him a kind of a bro hug.
Yeah, it was
thing.
nice.
That was funny.
Yeah. You didn't talk backstage?
We did not. I'm trying to remember. I don't want to misquote. I don't think. No, I don't believe so. Or maybe just a hey, how's it going?
I feel like we're in a good spot.
I think I'm in a good spot. Yeah.
You don't feel like he's coming after you? You don't feel like the Robbie thing where you're kind of being set up?
I think I'm in a good spot.
Yeah. You don't want to talk about it too much?
No, there's just nothing. There's nothing to report. There's nothing to report. No. I haven't had a conversation with him. I haven't met with him. It's it's just nothing to report.
Do you ever have moments where you're lying down and you think to yourself, perhaps you turn to your wife and say, I can't believe how things have turned out for me here. I mean, it's really unbelievable. I can't get over it. A year ago today.
Let's see, a year ago today, what was
I say this with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
You were kind of a non-factor in this sport. You were done. You were retired.
I was
now you're the hottest thing.
I was perfectly happy doing what I was doing.
It's almost unheard of how things have turned out for you.
Yeah, I would say it's a drastic turn of events. I don't know. I would say a year ago today, I was perfectly content in what I was doing.
What were you doing?
I can't remember if we sold our house on April 31st or May 31st. Any one of those months. There's no April 30th then. Sorry, that was dumb of me. I was probably coaching wrestling, being really happy coaching wrestling. And we were probably trying to move into a house, debating whether we were going to rehab it or not.
Right.
Trying to build my disc golf course.
You built a disc golf course?
Yeah, I got 9 holes. I got 6 more kind of cut out. We're going to finish 18. I got a world champion, Paul McBeth's going to come to my house and play in June. Then he's going to set the course record. Then I'm going to erase it because I want to be able to set my own course record.
Sure. Now, where's
my house?
It's in your house.
Well, not in my house,
Okay.
around my house.
Really?
Yeah,
How big is your property?
11 acres.
Holy smokes. Where's that?
Well, I can't tell you the exact address. I'm only a weirdo showing up.
But like
if you want to come to the house, I will give you the exact address.
would you invite me to your house?
You're invited.
I appreciate that.
Formally invited. It's in Delafield, Wisconsin. So we're actually building the wrestling academy on the property also.
Really?
Yes. We bought a commercially
smokes.
zoned lot so we could do this.
Okay. Wait, but is it in a neighborhood?
It's not. No, it's 11 acres.
Wow.
Yeah, 11 acres is big. You can't have a neighborhood with 11 acres.
That's true.
Well, we have a couple houses around us.
Right,
There's still businesses on the one side.
Okay.
But there's a lot of woods, a lot of hills, and it's roughly 2 miles from where our current academy exists.
Okay.
So we'll end our rent there, move into the one we're building.
So you'll literally never have to leave your house.
That's the plan. I don't really like people, so my wife gets mad. But I'm like gonna go through disc golf, go in my basement, do my podcast, go to my wrestling practice, do my wrestling practice. And have some food delivered and never leave ever.
That's unbelievable. and so the disc golf course, who designs it? You design it? Like you sit there?
So Ariel, one thing I had a bunch of goals by the time I was 30 years old, and one of them was to play 750 disc golf courses. Okay. Which I did at 30 years in one day. So the day after I got it. 750. So I had seen everything in disc golf. I'd venture to guess I've played more disc golf courses than probably everybody, about 10 people.
Wow.
So I've and that was my goal, is to see everything so I could see how they're constructed, how they're done, and then build the best one possible. The only thing I don't have on my property, I wish I had some type of water feature. I don't have that. Besides that, I have everything I need. It's perfect.
Holy smoke. Oh, and there are 750 disc golf courses?
Oh, there's like 5,000.
In America or in the world?
In the world, I think there's like 5,000. In America, I think it's about 4,000. That's my guess right now.
Okay.
I haven't looked.
Outside of America, which country is most into disc golf?
Japan's got a lot,
okay,
but nowhere else in Asia, and then most of it's European. Okay. So other than Sweden's got a whole bunch. I believe Norway.
Who introduced you to this?
A few friends on my college team played it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. And you still play with them?
They still play. I mean, they live other places.
Okay,
they still play. But yeah. So then I became obsessed, like I do with a lot of things.
Yeah.
I took 9th in the amateur worlds twice. I took 2nd in the amateur nationals.
When's the last time you competed?
2012. I had kids in academy and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
I took 2nd in the amateur nationals, 2010, I believe.
Is there a pro nationals?
There's, yeah, absolutely.
You could be a pro.
This guy, Paul Macbeth, is coming to my property to play. He's literally the best guy in the world.
How did you get in touch with him?
Twitter or
you
Facebook?
Just reached out to him?
I don't know. Maybe he reached out to me. I don't remember how it was.
Does he know who you are?
He's an MMA fan.
Oh, is he?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He must be loving this. That's incredible.
Absolutely.
And would you say you are more passionate about that than wrestling?
No.
That or MMA?
Maybe disc golf more than
Really? Can you watch it on TV?
Not really. There's some internet.
Get it on like ESPN
stuff.
Plus or something.
Well, I guess
like
these guys were going to take me, and we were going to do a disc golf tour of the ESPN property today, and it kind of got nixed or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How would you do a tour if there's no course?
Well, they were going to say hit that thing over there, right? I mean, so that's how disc golf started out. Now we're getting way off topic.
No, I've actually
disc golf started out because in the Whammo factory,
okay,
right, when they made the official a frisbee and a disc are different things.
Okay.
So in the Whammo factory, they made a frisbee, right? We play catch with.
Yeah.
And after work, all these guys would go out and they'd say, okay, let's see how many shots it takes to get to there, and they'd all like play together. And then they're like, wow, this is cool. We should make this real game. So then they went to the park, and then they would mark trees, right? The whole tree is hole number 1. That one's 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. And then eventually, obviously, then they created like a real game with a basket and a tee box and.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this your favorite sport, like non-combat sport to play?
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Do your kids play it?
My 6-year-old has now started throwing disc. Yeah, it's fun.
How's it going?
She got a pretty good throw for a 6-year-old.
Okay. How many kids do you have? 3?
3, yeah.
3, all girls?
Girl, boy.
Girl, boy. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing with the wrestlers. Huh? You guys all have girls. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
The boy is obsessed with. We have a mini disc golf basket in the basement. It's got these little tiny ones, Okay. He just goes and grabs them and runs around with them all day. It's hilarious.
Like super young.
He's only 1, yeah.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Do your girls kind of understand what you do and like who you are?
Not really.
Not quite,
no.
right?
My oldest wrestles at our academy.
Oh wow.
5 to 9-year-olds class. It's really kind of informal.
Right.
Easy, yeah.
Will you let her watch your fights?
I think she might have watched the last one. We didn't ever watch. But when I used to go to Asia all the time.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to explain that I beat up human beings for a living, because that's kind of weird for a kid. Sure. I think we would always tell her I went and fought tigers.
Really?
So yeah, she every night before they went to bed, they would want some type of story about how we went in the jungle and fought tigers.
So that is more, you feel like that's more suitable for her than you beating up another human being?
I feel like, yeah.
Okay, but now
I would venture to guess that we would all agree that a human life is more valuable than a tiger life. Although maybe some of those PETA people might like,
I'm not touching
they
that
might
one.
ban me or something for now.
But you showed her the last one. The last one was like your bloodiest fight.
Can I give clarification first?
Sure.
Amy, did Alice watch my last fight? Oh, no, kids at her school were telling her about it.
Wow.
Yeah, so she did not watch my last fight. Yeah,
that must be interesting. So you have your daughter come back to school on Monday, and everyone's talking about her dad's fight.
Yeah, I think she didn't know what was up.
Okay.
That was weird.
Well, 6 years old. She's probably like in pre-K or something, right?
Yeah.
Kindergarten. Yeah. Is that it? 3?
What?
Are we stopping at 3 or?
Our last one didn't sleep much.
Okay.
So he wore us out. So I think I'm done.
I think I have the reverse. 2 boys and a girl.
Oh, nice.
And then you get the.
It's exhausting.
And you get the mix.
Especially when they
both.
don't sleep.
Yeah, it's tough.
Oh, it's brutal.
It's tough. And how many siblings do you have?
One. I have my brother. He runs a wrestling academy with us.
Did he compete as well?
Yeah, he's national champ.
Really? Mm-hmm. For what school?
University of Missouri also.
Okay.
He won it in 2010.
And did he ever fight?
He never fought. No.
Why not?
He had some back issues that, like, after college, he almost didn't wrestle senior year.
Okay.
Decided to wrestle, he won a national title. Then he kind of took some time off. He wrestled in 2012 Olympic trials and took 4th.
Okay.
But then his back issues just really kind of prevented him from training full time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you guys close?
Yeah, I would say so.
Does he live near you?
About 45 minutes away. But so, like I said, so we have 3 wrestling academies. He runs the one in Mequon. So we, obviously we're talking all the time about that kind of stuff. When we go to wrestling tournaments together, that kind of thing.
Does he come to your fights?
He is coming to this one. He did not come to the last one.
Didn't come to your debut?
I know, what a bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I yelled at him about that. I don't know. He went to a wedding in Argentina or something. Get out of here, Max.
Okay.
He came to, I believe, 2 of them in Asia. And then I think he came to most of my Bellator ones, if I remember correctly.
When you were in Asia, were you ever thinking to yourself, like, what am I doing here?
No, I loved it.
You did?
I actually just saw a picture. Misha Tate put up a picture. She's living in Singapore now.
Yes.
She put up a picture, and it was her and her kid, and I don't know if it's her husband or fiance or whatever. And then they have a really cool apartment. Marina Bay Sands was in the background. I'm like, damn, I miss Singapore.
You really liked it?
Oh, I love Singapore.
Really?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did they treat you well there?
Yeah, absolutely.
No regrets?
No, not at all. No, they're fantastic.
To borrow a phrase, they're a little funky.
What do you mean?
I mean, this agent certification thing. What is going on?
I didn't read all the way through that, so I don't want to comment on that. Because someone asked me about it earlier, and I'm like, I saw it, but I didn't really read all the way through it.
It's a little funky.
I mean, you can't think of, this is what I learned over there. You can't think of things through an American-centric lens. They do things are different in Asia. That is for sure. There's a different way of doing things, different customs. So if you try, I remember in my Sapo fight, the one where the no contest where he faked the eye injury, I was like, I got on the mic and I said, I'm sorry, this dude don't want to fight me.
Right.
Like, there's nothing I can do about that. He's making excuses. And I got booed by everybody.
Right.
I'm like, I don't understand. That's what it is. And after the fight, they said that, that was just me thinking about myself and like, not about the fans who paid their hard-earned money to come to the fight. And like in Asia, you can't say stuff like that. Or you get booed because you look so rude.
Right.
So I realized, I looked really, I was using American lens to look at the situation.
Okay.
So I looked like a jackass.
Okay.
And so I started, it's interesting because it gives you a new perspective on a lot of things when you look at stuff through a different lens.
Right. Like, so like when you watch them, there's no, like they helped sort of advance your career.
Yeah.
Gave you a play. Because Bellator essentially said to you, thanks, but no thanks.
That's not what happened.
No?
No.
What happened with
I
Bjorn?
wasn't coming back.
You
told
told
them out. Yes, absolutely.
How could they have let this happen?
What?
That was one of their biggest mistakes. The Bjorn era.
I didn't give them really 2 choices about it. I said, I'm out of here. I'm not signing again.
But you didn't have a champions clause?
I mean, I had.
Didn't they have to give you like their blessing?
No, they had a year. Was it year matching?
Right.
And 3-month exclusive.
They
something like that.
They could have sat on that, right?
Yeah, I just kept telling them I wasn't coming back.
Why?
Because I had stuff to go do.
In one?
No, to prove I was the best in the world.
UFC.
That's what I was going to do.
Right.
And it wasn't. I already beat everyone in Bellator.
I mean,
the guys I beat in Bellator are still.
Yeah.
What were we,
Douglas
6
Lima
years
is
later,
fighting
they're
this
still
weekend.
the best there.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that they didn't try to say, okay, at least like we'll give you the opportunity to sign with UFC, but if you're going to go to one or someone else, we're going to keep you here.
By the time the UFC thing had fallen through, I had a full and complete release from Bellator.
Wow. See, that's what I mean. I think that was a mistake in hindsight.
Well,
on their part.
Fine, turned out right for me.
For you, not for them.
I think, honestly, I can't, this is just my feeling. I don't want to say they didn't want to keep me around, but I always felt like they thought one of these guys was going to kick my ass. Whether it was Lima, Kreshkov, Amasu. They thought, okay, Ben's not going to keep getting lucky and taking these guys down every round. At some point, he's going to get kneed or kicked or punched or knocked out or something, right? And then off of Ben, we're going to make one of these guys a big star. And listen, I don't know that for a fact. That's just me kind of feeling it out.
Right.
And that never happened.
Yeah.
And so when I said, hey, I'm out, I think they were like, they might have been like, oh, really? Can we really let him go? But then at the same time, they were like, well, what other option do we have? Okay, let's let him go. You know, because they looked pretty bad in the Eddie Alvarez deal. Remember how that went down? That Bjorn didn't really look great in that instance. So I think they were probably worried about something like that happening again.
Do you have any idea what happened to Bjorn?
Bjorn texted me after my last fight.
Come on.
I swear to God. Where's my phone?
You buried the lead. This is the biggest story of the whole day. Bjorn texts you? He actually is alive?
Let me see. Bjorn.
Please, tell us.
Okay. Okay, yes, right here.
Oh, my God.
He says, odd choice of starts, but that finish was rock solid. Keep talking shit on everyone all the time, everywhere. They don't have the voice now that Conor was exposed. You fill that gap.
Wow.
Yeah, right? I was pumped here. I hadn't heard from him for like 5 years. I was like, that's awesome. Bjorn just texted me.
Out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere. I mean, I didn't talk to the guy in.
And you wrote him back?
Absolutely.
What'd you write?
I asked him what he was doing, and he's working on
what's he working on?
Tech project of some sort.
Okay, so he's out of MMA.
Yes.
Do you remember when they started that union and it lasted like 3 days?
That was bizarre, wasn't it?
That was bizarre.
That was really bizarre.
Let's be honest. Of all the people...
No, how awesome is that Bjorn texted me?
Yes, that was awesome. I've talked to you like 4 times since that fight. You never brought that up.
I never came up.
Yeah, I know, but
yeah,
it's a big deal.
Now you ask me,
Well, because I feel like you guys... I guess the consensus was like, or the feeling was that like you left on bad terms with him.
Not really.
Yeah.
You know what, Ariel? I guess Dana excluded. I stay on good terms with almost everybody.
Yeah.
Because I just tell you what I think and how I feel.
Right.
And no matter what, you're not wondering about me.
Right.
You're not thinking like, oh, is he being nice to my face and he's talking shit behind my back? You know exactly where we stand.
I have felt this.
And I think that's one of the things that, I don't know if you want to say endearing or just honest, but you don't get that from a lot of people. A lot of people are going to give you the runaround. And we're gonna know how we feel about each other.
Okay.
And that's it.
So you and Bjorn are cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's no hard feelings ever.
Sure. Why'd you say excluding Dana though? Because like that
Dana genuinely, I said most people like me because of that.
Oh,
Dana
I see.
genuinely didn't like me because of that for many years.
I remember you were probably like the first fighter to ever really like threaten to beat me up.
I didn't threaten to beat you up.
Yes, you said come to the cage.
No, that's not what I said.
Yes.
I said, I don't remember the exact words, but it was something. It was more of a metaphor. Like I want to come on your show about as bad as you want to get in the cage with me.
Was that it?
Yeah, because you listen. Here's. I don't know.
said that the fight wasn't very
let's go. I have to ask you a tough question. Let me ask you a tough question.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think you bashed me after my Douglas Lima fight.
That's not a bash.
You bashed me.
I said it wasn't.
Okay.
That's
anyways.
subjective.
I thought you were upset with me because I came unprepared for an interview that you had me on. You had me on right before the Lima fight, and I was eating food. And even afterwards, my wife goes, "Ben, you idiot! You were eating food during the interview." And that was an asshole move. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even think about it.
You weren't as good at interviews back then as you are now.
So then when you came at me on Monday, I'm like, oh, Ariel's mad that I was being an a-hole and eating food on his show and looking unprofessional.
You think that was it?
Well, I don't know. Apparently, you don't think that was the case.
This lasted a long time between us. I don't remember how we squashed it.
So then I was in, I remember because I was tweeting because I was actually visiting Austin, Texas, I believe.
Oh, you have a great memory.
My buddy Mark Bader and Joe, we were playing some disc golf, and then we all sit down in a Mexican restaurant, and I was tweeting back and forth with you about what you had said.
Oh, okay.
Because it was right after the Lima fight, and then eventually that night, I remember laughing because you banned me from your show. Try keeping me out, Ariel.
Right. You should see the ban list now. It has grown.
How big?
Oh, it's gigantic. Tons of people, yeah.
No,
some people have, of course.
Who?
I don't want to say. There's a lot of people on my crap list. But I'm happy that we squared. I mean, now people think that you're on too much. I would say you're on not enough.
They can't have me on enough.
So so you have a podcast now, and you
I
just
got a couple podcasts. Yes,
a couple. What's the second one?
Well, I started an MMA podcast with
my buddy,
Brian.
the Fight Oracle.
He is not. I don't believe he's I don't believe that he has responded to me on why he does not respond to me.
The Fight Oracle.
Why he didn't like you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we started an MMA podcast on Rockfin.
Okay. Yeah, what is that?
I was telling you about. It's just a new website.
This is me trying to plug.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, here's the hard part is it does take a few minutes to totally get the idea of what Rockfin's all about. Okay. And if I just give you a 10-second plug, the idea is that Rockfin is going to give creative people the avenue to get their proper value.
Okay.
And so I'm one of the first people on that platform, and I'm excited for it.
So you leave here in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, hopefully. Actually, I thought this was going to be a short interview, but we ended up talking for a long time, so it's good. So I'm going to just have to tell my wife to drive extra fast in New York City.
Well, okay, I was going to ask, how are you getting back? You guys drove?
What literal roads? I don't know what literal roads. We're going to put it in the GPS and we're going to go.
Okay, now I just want to know what the day's like because I'm actually getting nervous on your behalf.
Why would you get nervous?
Because you're competing in like 5 hours.
I don't actually wrestle till right around 8 o'clock.
Okay,
I'm going to do a little map feature here and see what time. It said when I checked earlier, it was an hour and 59 minutes. Yeah. So hopefully there's no like car accidents or anything.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say it's 2. So let's say you leave here.
Yeah.
Let's say you leave here in 10 minutes, right?
There's 2 hours exactly on the dot on my phone right now.
So you'll arrive in New York City at almost 4.
Sure. What
will you do between 4?
I think I'm going to check into my hotel room, put my stuff down, change it in my clothes, and then we'll.
What are you wearing?
Take an Uber. I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt right now.
In the match.
Sandals. Look at those things.
As always.
True to gimmick.
Flip flops, drop tops.
Yes, a singlet and wrestling shoes.
No, but like you don't have a special one.
I do have a special one. Yes.
Sponsors on it.
Well, Rudis is my sponsor, my one sponsor.
Okay. American flag, something?
I don't know what it looks like. Did they send me a picture? I don't think they sent me a picture of what it looks like. I'm wearing brand new Rudis shoes that haven't been released yet, so that's pretty sweet.
All right.
So I actually have to meet up with this is my podcast co-host on the Rudis Wrestling Podcast. Actually, also works for Rudis, obviously. So I'm meeting him. He's got my gear.
Okay.
And then we're gonna cruise over to the event, and I'm gonna warm up and get ready to rumble.
And warm up consists of what?
Wrestling. I get to warm up with Yanni.
Okay.
You know who that is?
No.
You need to know who it is. He's special.
Yanni, is he like a singer or something? No.
What Yanni with curly long hair? He is not. He's a wrestler. He's from Cornell.
Okay.
He just won the U.S. Open.
Okay.
And he's only 20. He's actually facing the #1 ranked wrestler in the world from India tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you guys the main event?
He's the co-main event.
Okay, but you're the main event.
I'm the main event, yes.
All right. And how long will the match be?
It's a wrestling match of 6 minutes, 2 3-minute periods.
Yeah, and it's freestyle? Are those the rules?
Freestyle wrestling, yes. Okay. I haven't wrestled an official freestyle match since 2010.
2010.
It's been a while.
But this won't count, right? In terms of like an official record?
I mean, I don't think there are official records in wrestling.
All right.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I just feel like for MMA fans, it's better to make it that way, right?
There should be a better there should be a better database in wrestling that keeps stats and official records and that kind of stuff. It'd be really cool, but unfortunately we don't have that.
Have you ever competed at MSG or the theater?
I've been to MSG twice. I've never competed there.
What were you there for?
Well, when I signed with UFC last November.
That's right, when you crashed our set.
Yes.
That was huge.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. And then I went for Chael versus Vanderlei, maybe.
Oh, Bellator.
Was that who the fight?
Yeah.
Chael versus Vanderlei?
You went to that?
Yeah.
Just as a fan?
I just wanted to go, yeah.
Wow. Where did you sit? In the stands?
I think Bellator gave me tickets.
Oh,
pretty close. We were down low.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. But this is your first time competing. This is a big deal in its own right. Like, does this mean anything to you?
No, I'm just excited to wrestle.
But it's MSG, New York City.
Fine.
How could you be so nonchalant about this? Really?
I don't know.
What do you think he's doing right now? He wouldn't have come here.
Probably doing 1,000. I tried to get him to come here.
Yeah. He didn't do this. I think he's mad at me.
I don't know why he's so serious. Why is he mad at you? Because you started the thing with Chael?
No.
That's not your fault. That's
Yes,
Chael's fault.
I know. I actually texted him.
Jordan?
Like, yeah.
What'd he say?
I was like, hey, man, I hope, no hard feelings. We shared the same birthday, Buffalo Bills fans. We had a lot in common.
Really?
Didn't write me back.
No.
Yes.
Oh,
and then I reached out to the Beat the Streets guy whose name is escaping me. Yes, Jesse.
Okay.
And he's like, yeah, he takes things a little personally sometimes.
Wow.
Did you know that about him?
I'll ask him tonight.
I hope there's no heat.
Why are you holding this against Ariel?
Yeah.
I don't think it's his deal.
So what do you think he's doing right now? Do you think he's prepreparing, or do you think this is just like I think
he's deal? I think he's fairly similar to me in the fact that he's really relaxed and just he's probably he's got his kids here. So he's probably hanging out with his wife and kids. Is what I would guess he's doing.
Okay, so you don't think he's stressed about it?
I wouldn't imagine so.
What's your prediction? Can you tell us, can we play this in 10 hours and say Ben called it on the show? How's this actually going to go down?
Well, I think he's either going to beat me or I'm going to pin him. I mean, that's what I always said. I said I'm not under the illusion that I'm a better wrestler than he is. I'm not at this point in my life. That doesn't mean I can't pin him, right? So that's where my head's at. I know the terms of the battle right now. I know what I have to do to win, and I got to pin him.
Okay, so that's your only way to actually win.
I think so, yes.
Don't let him, because Robbie Lawler, I mean, he slammed you.
That's fine.
Don't let him do that to you.
Ha! Golly.
I was standing next to some people who were watching their first UFC fight, one of which from Missouri, who works with us now. Her name is Christina. She's great. And I was like, Ben Askren's the man. Watch what he's about to do. And then you got slammed in the first 20 seconds. I felt like a dope.
But I went out and
I was
choked
building
him.
up
It
your
was fine.
credentials, Olympian, all this stuff, and then you get slammed by Robbie Lawler.
All right, turn in
Striker
the
extraordinaire.
result was great.
It was great. Do you still get a lot of crap for that?
No.
People have moved on.
Well, I mean, there's probably some idiots on Twitter, but yeah.
Did you see him there in Atlanta?
I did see him.
What do you say?
Just hello.
No hard feelings?
No, there's nothing there.
It was
All good. He's professional. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't thank you enough for doing this.
I appreciate it.
It's
No,
really
I
cool.
should get going.
Yeah, I know. I feel
Yeah, I mean, I thought you were going to hold me for like 15 minutes.
No, I said
45 minutes. That was fun.
This was nice.
I might have to come back to it sometime again.
I figured, you come all the way here, you make the effort.
We need to have a good
Let's
segment.
get. Did you enjoy it?
It was good.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Not great?
I think it was great. I think,
Okay.
I think we talked about a lot of really good
Yeah.
topics.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you for doing
Thank
this.
you, Ariel.
Everyone, Ben Askren, he's competing tonight in literally like 3 hours against Jordan Burroughs. You notice how the time just keeps going short. You just want to leave.
Well, I'm out of here.
Yeah, okay, go. There he is. Look at the poster right there. Ben Askren, Jordan Burroughs, history in the making. Tonight, Hulu Theater, Madison Square Garden. It's all going down. How fun was that? Speaking of the Hulu Theater, PFL Championship is going to be there. We'll talk to Randy Couture of the PFL in a matter of seconds. But first, let me tell you about our good friends over at Ancestry. Ancestry DNA gives you so much more than just the places you're from. Ancestry connects you to the places in the world where your story started using precise geographic detail and clear-cut historical insights. You can even trace your ancestors' journey over time, following how and why your family moved from place to place. And to amplify your results, you could start a free trial on Ancestry and build a tree so your ancestors become more than just a name. They've combined DNA results with over 100 million family trees and billions of records to give you more insight into your genealogy and origins. Only Ancestry can tell you such a rich story with unique features that give you a more complete picture about a person, like events that shaped them, how they made a living, and what they excelled in. Ancestry's unique features and record collections can give you a more complete picture of a past in your life, like the events that shaped them, how they made a living, even how long they attended school. How about that? It's so easy to get started. Here's how you get started. Go to Ancestry.com/MMA today for 20% off your Ancestry DNA kit. That's Ancestry.com/MMA for 20% off your Ancestry DNA kit. Ancestry.com/MMA. Please support them because they support us. How about that, Randy? Am I a pro or what? It's good to see you, my friend. Wow. Unbelievable to have you in person here. This is incredible. Thank you for making the trek. You came here en route to Long Island.
That's right.
You just saw Ben Askren.
Saw Ben,
What do you think of Ben?
I love Ben.
Yeah? You're a fan?
The way he wrestled in college, he was an amazing college competitor, and I love how he transitioned all that to MMA. He does a great job.
And so this is very exciting. This is a living legend here in studio, my friends. This is a Hall of Famer, former champion, 2-division champion, the one and only. I don't even need to give you an introduction, but Randy, the natural couture. We even had our audio guy before the show say, that's the guy from The Expendables.
Yeah.
Knew nothing about your MMA career.
Yeah.
You're just The Expendables
It's
guy
weird
now.
how that transition just kind of
Yes.
happened.
Do you get that now? Like people
I love
don't.
more of that than
Really?
Than fighting.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Actually, good for me.
Sure, because that means you're
That's
not
where I'm
being
spending my
typecast.
time now.
Right.
Is chasing acting jobs. So
Okay, so you're here for PFL. PFL debuts this Thursday on ESPN.
that's right.
First event on Long Island, season 2. Kayla Harrison
Yes.
has just been bumped to essentially the main event, even though I know there's no like technical.
Yeah, every fight counts. Every
Right.
guy's, whether you're lower in the card or the last fight of the night, every single one counts. They're trying to score points and make it to that postseason.
And you are a color commentator, so you're going to be on the broadcast. And I just found out about this. The play-by-play man is Sean O'Connell.
Yeah, Sean, was getting his feet wet with that last year and,
Right.
and wearing 2 hats. Literally taking the suit off,
Yes.
getting up in the cage,
That's
which I
insane.
thought was crazy. But now he's retired from fighting and going to be one of my guys there at the desk
So
helping me.
is it just you two in the booth?
Eve Edwards is back. Caroline
right.
Pierce
Yes.
is back.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the 4 of us.
And do you like do you like what they're doing? Do you like the momentum coming
I
off?
do.
Of
I
season
think
one?
like everybody else, when I first saw this format, I had questions. I was like, oh my gosh, you're turning these guys around every 6 weeks.
Right.
You're going to fight the quarterfinals and the semifinals in one night. That's something we used to do that
Right.
we haven't really done in a long time. And I tell you, I was pleasantly surprised with the first season, how the fighters dealt with that adversity, stepped up. It was very exciting. It's, 70% finish rate with a lot of those fighters, which is amazing. So I'm excited for season 2.
Do you get the sense that the fighters, because of the money involved, because of what's at stake, that they're actually like going for it? Like they recognize you can't,
what I like about it is an absolute meritocracy.
Okay.
You can talk smack if that's who you are, but that's not going to get you anywhere. You still got to go out and score points and make it to that postseason, to that progressive tournament, to get to the money, to get to the big prize. So
right.
I like that.
What I like about PFL right now is that in MMA, like back in the Strikeforce days, right? Like Coker had the females. That was his thing that differentiated him from the UFC. Now everyone has women's MMA. So this is their thing. The tournament and all that is their way to say we're not the UFC, right? Because at this point, if you're just doing random fights, you're essentially, I think in some fans' eyes, viewed as like UFC light. And you don't want to be viewed as such, right?
I think they wanted to try a different format that was a lot more in line with the traditional league.
Right.
Same as the NFL. We got the Stanley Cup playoffs going on right now.
Right.
All those teams were vying for that opportunity to that championship match. This is the same thing. There's a regular season. How you finish those fights in the regular season is going to score points and move you to the postseason matches and the opportunity to win the championship for this year.
I want the PFL to succeed. I think there should be 10 organizations out there. I know the fans don't want that, but I think the more organizations, the better it is for the fighters, right?
I agree.
More competition,
100%.
You get paid more. There's true free agency as opposed to just like 2-3 places. My concern is, as much as I love the $1 million for the fighters, I'm afraid that it's too much money at this juncture for such a young company, right? That's a lot of money to pay out.
Well, I think a lot of people believe in the format and this approach to the sport that nobody's tried yet. Obviously you got guys like Kevin Hart and Tony Robbins getting on board and putting
Jimmy
some of their
Ivey,
money.
and
there's a whole bunch of folks that believe in the format. I think if the first season is an indication, I think we're headed in the right direction. Being on ESPN this year is certainly a big step up, and will get these fighters and our brand a lot more exposure.
How old are you right now, Randy?
55.
Jeez Louise, you look tremendous.
Well, thanks.
How do you feel?
I feel good.
Yeah?
I feel good, holding up well.
You don't feel like the body has...
Got some discs in the neck that are a little tired, but other than that, I've held up very, very well.
Have you, it's funny because last week was the anniversary of your last fight.
Oh, that's
UFC
right.
129.
Yeah, that's right.
April 30th, 2011, 8 years ago.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Yep.
Between
got
today.
all new front teeth after that one.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I remember that shot of the tooth
kick,
flying.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You had to replace them all?
4 of them.
Why?
Kicked them out. They were all
All
gone.
4 came out?
Yeah.
I thought just 1.
No, there was 4.
Oh my gosh. 4 in the front?
Yep.
Oh my Lord.
Yeah.
That never happened?
I had all my own teeth until that fight.
Really?
Yeah.
And you were wearing a mouthpiece?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good shot. Kicked
Had
me
you ever
right in
been
the
hit
mouth.
that hard before?
I've been hit harder than that. I mean, he didn't knock me out.
Sure.
Certainly flashed me, but really only been knocked out one time, and that was the second Chuck fight.
Okay.
Yeah,
like
where
out cold.
Yeah, where you lose that piece of time. And
Okay. Do you recall anything from that now, or
no,
you never get it?
I think I don't think I have any. I didn't have that style, that kind of let's trade blows and see who goes down first type of style. So, tried to minimize the damage and that was really the only time I got knocked out. I got flashed a couple other times, but that was really the only time I got knocked out.
So the reason I brought it up is between this time and 2011, did you ever get the itch to come back? Like now, I mean, 55, obviously it's not happening, but...
No, yeah, obviously the phone started ringing when Fedor came back out and threw his hat back in the ring, because that was the fight a lot of people wanted to see when we were both at our prime and ranked 1 and 2 in the world, and obviously a fight I chased for a significant amount of time too. But it just didn't make sense to me. I'm having so much fun acting and doing all that. The gym and the clothing line and all the other stuff is doing really well. And I have my health. Went out on my own terms. I think that's a rare thing in the sports world today, to not have a doctor or promoter saying, man, you really shouldn't do this anymore. So I felt comfortable with and felt like it was the right decision for me, and I've stuck with it.
Like when you saw Chuck and Tito fight in November, what's going through your mind?
I hoped it would have been a knockdown, drag-out fight.
Okay.
And that would have been really, really exciting. Obviously, it didn't really go that way. And, good for Tito. He got a chance to get one back.
Right.
he's been active and competing and doing well. Chuck hadn't really done anything in literally 8 years, which is not generally a very good idea to try and come back. So,
right.
Love both those guys. They're both great guys. See them here and there. See Chuck at the gym in LA. Done some appearances with Tito here and there, and so my hope was that it would just would have been a barn burner, and didn't go that way.
Chuck should stop fighting though, right?
I mean, I think everybody feels that way,
right?
And I think maybe he feels that way, but again, it's such a personal thing.
Right.
If in his heart he feels like he has more to do or more to accomplish, then who can hold that against him? I think he's got to let it run its course. But I think most people watching and certainly seeing that fight felt like it wasn't the same Chuck that we're used to seeing.
It always felt to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, your transition was pretty smooth. It feels like for fighters, I mean, we've seen this time and again in the fight game, it's very hard to say goodbye, right?
Transition's tough.
Yeah.
And this is,
did you ever have tough moments?
Our identity is wrapped up in that soul endeavor, and that's a difficult thing to just let go of and walk away from. We're not normal humans.
Right.
So to think you're just going to throw us back into the civilian world and it's going to be honky-dory, it doesn't work that way. I've been fortunate in the transitions that I've had, both leaving the military, leaving wrestling. I had other things to go to, leaving MMA. I had acting. I had all these other things that I'd built from that made that transition easier and smoother for me. I had a new purpose. I had something else to focus on, and that's what a lot of our guys, whether they're pro athletes or soldiers, when they transition is very difficult.
Did you ever have any moments where you're like, man, like, because I've heard it sort of compared to like drugs, right? Like you need that drug, like the drug, like of the fans and the attention and the buildup,
There's
the buzz,
adrenaline.
Yeah.
Walking out of that tunnel.
Did you ever feel like you were missing it?
No, I felt pretty comfortable with it. I think it was the right time for me, and it took me a while to come to that conclusion.
After the Machida fight?
No, I had decided. It started entering my mind for the James Toney fight.
Okay, really?
Yeah, I had every injury I'd ever had in my wrestling and fighting career flare up during that camp for no particular reason. And it was the first time I ever thought, man, maybe my body's telling me I need to start thinking about the future and doing something else. And then, obviously that fight was an important fight, but not a terribly tactical fight.
Right.
And I felt like Lyoto was definitely a very tactical fight and one that I, win or lose, I could go out on.
Okay. But you knew that night.
I knew beforehand. I just didn't tell anybody.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did the book. The last round with Sarah Levin.
Yeah.
She followed me through that whole camp. There was only 2 or 3 people that knew I'd made the decision to retire. I knew if I told everybody and made it public, it would have taken on a life of its own.
You didn't want that.
And I wanted to focus on the fight.
Okay. Do you have regrets that your last fight was a loss?
No. I mean, you can't think of things that way.
Right.
Some of those losses that I suffered in my career were the most important thing that could have happened to me at that time. I got all these bright, shiny new teeth for acting now, so things turned out the way they're supposed to.
Do you foresee? I know you've gone to Washington and you've tried to fight for fighter rights and things of that nature. Do you foresee in your lifetime any scenario in which for retired fighters, especially of your stature, of Chuck's stature, of Tito's stature, where there's any sort of system in place that helps with the transition, that like the NFLPA, like the NBAPA?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm part of the MMA FA, the Fighters Association, and we're lobbying hard to get the Ollie Act amended to cover us as combative sports athletes across the board, not just boxers, and create some transparency in the industry with the amount of money that promoters are making and give us a fair shake and negotiating our share of that, which doesn't happen right now.
Are there legs to it right now? Because it feels like...
I think through that same process, I mean, if you look at SAG, as a member of SAG, that's the model I think that fits fighting the best. There's a bunch of studios out there all trying to make films. There's this pool of actors that they're trying to pull from. They have health insurance. They have retirement plans. They have created minimum standards for treatment and pay through SAG. I think that's something that we should aspire to as fighters.
Do you feel like we're moving in that direction?
I feel like we're trying to educate the fighters, and that's been the biggest challenge, getting the fighters to see the merit in getting on board with this and coming together. Without us, there's no show.
Right.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
So if we come together, unite, and use that as leverage, I think we can get a better deal, and that's the point.
Are you surprised that it's taken the fighters so long to see this? Because sometimes, no?
We are very egocentric. That's
Yes.
what makes us good at what we do.
Right.
It's never going to happen to me, and you know, we don't think forward enough, I think, and so that's kind of what we're up against.
So you're trying to essentially say, like, look at, like, I have gone through the entire gauntlet, right? It will happen to you. Like, the ride ends at some point, no matter how good you are.
Absolutely. Does not last forever. You have to recognize you have a short window of opportunity to make this kind of money, to be a professional like this, and eventually, realistically, you have to call it quits at some point.
Sometimes it feels like the media cares about this more than the fighters, because I feel like we talk about it and then you ask the fighters about it and they say essentially what you're saying, like, you know, I fought tooth and nail to get to this point. I can't
afford to get blacklisted. I can't afford to be, this is the battle, and getting enough guys to step up and be willing to put it on the line. Yeah, it's one thing for me. I'm already retired. My time is over.
Right.
I'm happy to lend my name to this fight, and it is a fight. But at the end of the day, we need the guys that are current, that are right now, that are in it to step up and be part of this.
And you feel like it's still alive, right?
Still alive, still happening.
Okay.
Obviously, there's been some jockeying, political jockeying, things going on, being lobbied against, and significant monies being thrown, you know, against getting things amended and set up. Which, you know, I get it'll change the sport, but I think in a lot of ways, certainly from a fighter's perspective, it will make it better.
So you occupy your time. You do PFL 10 shows, right? You'll be at all 10.
I will be at all 10.
Calling them ESPN, PFL debuts this Thursday. Still acting.
Still acting. Just finished a film in New Mexico.
Really?
Called The Manson Brothers Midnight Zombie Massacre.
Okay.
It was a blast. Had a lot of fun doing it. Max Martini directed.
Okay.
He's you know, I met him years ago doing The Unit.
Okay.
And we've been friends for a long time. And his second directorial debut, so getting a chance to work with him was a lot of fun, and a great cast of guys.
You enjoy the process of making films?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's an interesting process and not something I ever saw myself doing. I think I was in Tiny Tim in the 6th grade in the Christmas Carol. I played Tiny Tim.
Really? Wow. You got the lead role.
But that was it.
Wow.
You know, I spent my whole life as an athlete kind of boxing up my emotions and putting them to the side and going out and doing what I trained to do.
Right.
So now in this process, you know, they want you to find a way to emote real things and be genuine in these made up scenarios. Try and find a way to tell the truth, which is the real key and the trick.
Who first introduced you to acting?
My first movie experience was Cradle to the Grave in 1998.
Wow.
And the call came through the UFC. They were looking for some authentic cage fighters for the cage fighting scene in that movie with DMX and Jet Li.
Okay.
So me and Chuck and Tito all got a chance to be in that movie. I had one line in the movie. And Chuck and Tito actually fought each other in the movie, which was interesting because that was what everybody was trying to make happen back then.
Right.
Which never did happen, at least for a while.
Right.
So that was my first experience, first chance to see the process, and was immediately intrigued and enamored with the whole thing.
But the next one after that, was there a big gap?
No, I kind of did it was an MMA movie called No Rules. Had Frank Shamrock, Lynn Henderson, David Dunn, and Jerry Anderson, Pam's brother. Okay. Jerry wrote this, and David Dunn was the lead. It was a low budget, but it was a great experience. I got to play the lead bad guy in a movie, and it was, for me at that time, it was important. You know, I needed more experience, more chance to develop new tools, new skills.
I didn't know. I'm just going to move this. I didn't know that Pamela Anderson had a brother in movies.
That was, I don't know if he ever did any acting.
Oh, okay.
But you know, obviously,
I didn't even know there was.
She did a cameo in the film because it was him. He wrote it, and it was his first and maybe his only directing.
Really?
Yeah. So,
how many have you done at this point?
Around 35 feature films, I think. Yeah, somewhere around there.
What's your favorite so far?
Well, I mean, it's tough to beat The Expendables. Yeah. I had a great time doing Scorpion King 2.
Right.
Obviously, that was a huge property for The Rock, for Dwayne Johnson, and to get to do the prequel to that was a lot of fun for me and a good learning experience for me as well.
Will there be a 4th Expendables?
They're saying this summer.
Really?
So still waiting to see a script and find out
part of it.
what's going on. Yeah, Toll Road's still alive. So
wow.
Yeah, that's always the first thing you do is go through the script.
Are you alive?
Yeah.
So okay, so they're saying they're going to start shooting this summer?
Start shooting this summer, yeah.
Wouldn't you know by now? I mean, it's getting kind of close, no?
This has been going on back and forth for the last couple years. And Sly's just been so busy with Escape Plan, Creed 2, and now a new Rambo. I think he's finally clear to come around, and it sounds like they've got a script, and I'm excited to read it and see what we're doing and who's coming back.
Yeah.
What's going on.
And where do you live these days?
Vegas.
Still Vegas.
Still Vegas.
Not L.A.
No, still. I have a place in L.A. and obviously part of the crew at Unbreakable with Glazer and the guys there. And
how often do you spend there? So Jay Glazer, the great NFL reporter, also owns a gym there with others as well, right?
I'm one of those others.
You're one of the others, okay. But it's like a VIP gym. Is that fair?
It is. It's
like I can't just walk in there as
an
a
exclusive boutique performance training center.
Okay.
Very unique place and has a very interesting vibe to it. It's a cool place.
How would you describe that vibe?
It's a little bit like Cheers.
Okay.
Everybody walks through the door, their name gets shouted, and then it's like being part of a fight team.
Okay.
We're doing the same kind of strength conditioning and performance training that I did as a fighter, training to get ready for fights, and then we finish every workout with some form of MMA on the mats, doing some form of drilling, or that's our cardio. That's how we finish every workout.
And it's all famous people?
Well, there are a lot of famous people in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you're not a famous person, you could still go. You just have to
still go, sure.
Pay a lot of money.
It's exclusive. Let's just say it's that way.
But how's the what's the process in terms of getting in?
Come in. Yeah, it's an open door.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Interesting. But if it's an open door, how is it exclusive?
Because the cost makes it exclusive.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I heard Jay say recently that Chris Pratt hits harder than you. Did you see that?
Jay is always poking fun at me.
Why?
Because that's how we roll.
Okay.
That's what we do.
All right.
Jay's great, and I've not met a more loyal guy than Jay Glazer. But Chris is amazing.
Is he?
And actually grew up in the same neck of the woods where I grew up in Washington, north of Seattle.
Okay.
And his wrestling coach in high school went to Oklahoma State, where I went to college.
Right.
He was the class before me. So
okay.
We never really crossed paths. His name's Brent Barnes, and he's a great guy too. But I crossed paths with Chris when Chris was in high school, and I was coaching at Oregon State. And Brett brought a bunch of his kids down to our Oregon State camp, and I guess I called Chris out and used him as a demonstration for technique. He remembered that. I didn't remember that until obviously now much later. It's Chris Pratt.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
A little bit different time. And so it was a really funny story. And now Chris trains at the gym and get to wrestle with him and work out with him on occasion. And he's great.
That must be amazing for him.
Physical guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he that strong? I mean, obviously
No, his wrestling is still there. He's still
really
great arm drag. He moves well, really enjoys it. That's the thing about wrestling. It's one of those sports, Ben Askren just talked about that. It builds character, and once you get that mindset, you look at the world that way the rest of your life.
So he just goes there to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of, and who else did I see that was there? Does Sly go there?
Wiz Khalifa's in there. Sly comes in there once in a while.
Wiz Khalifa's like transformed his body.
Yeah, Wiz, they put on 25 pounds and looks great. Demi Lovato trains in there with a lot of
what a crew
of folks in there. Yeah,
what a crew. That's amazing. So you spend your time doing movies, doing PFL, doing Unbreakable. Anything else you got, or is that the life of Randy Couture?
Couture is where it all started.
Right.
So
are you still going
in Vegas? I'm at Extreme Couture. Ryan has picked up the mantle there and is kind of running with that. Him and Eric Nixick do a great job of running the gym. So if I'm in Vegas, I'm at Extreme Couture. If I'm in LA, I'm at Unbreakable. But I'm in neither of those places very often, to be honest, on the road a lot.
It feels, and correct me if you feel otherwise, it feels like for a moment Extreme Couture was kind of down, and it has experienced a revitalization.
I think there's an ebb and flow to any gym,
right?
Especially a fight gym. And when I retired, a whole bunch of guys went other places to find workout partners. I wasn't in there grinding out camps, and especially some of the bigger guys at that time that had gravitated there because I was in there training, and so that we kind of, there was a dip. Some guys went other places to get, the training they needed. Dennis Davis came in and from one of my original guys from Team Quest, and was trying to get him put over and give him the credibility that he needed to continue to coach. Robert Follis came in and obviously helped with that because Robert was his mentor.
Okay.
And Dennis, literally gave up some salary to find a way to get Robert in there.
Wow.
And Robert was a huge piece of kind of the resurgence, which he attracted Miocic Tate and then so many other big stars that were still competing actively. And obviously we're all devastated with what happened with Robert, and Dennis is and all the other guys are still there and still doing what they do so well. So
do you feel like obviously that was, I remember speaking to you just a couple of days later, that was a horrible tragedy. Do you feel like the gym has been able to get back on its feet, or are you still missing his presence?
I think the gym's obviously we're always going to miss Robert, but the gym is still doing very, very well. Eric and Ryan, like I said, have stepped up. Dennis is still in there doing all the things that Robert taught him to do, basically. Okay. And so the gym is doing very, very well.
Is that the kind of, like, do you think about Robert a lot and signs and what could I have done?
Well, it's tough because knowing Robert as well as I do, I understand how he came to that decision, all the factors that led him there. And you'd like to think that maybe there was something he could have said or done, but honestly, I don't think there was.
Really?
I think that he planned this very meticulously. It
wasn't a spur of the moment thing.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
I think this had been coming. There was.
Why?
I think survivor's guilt of his own when his brother committed suicide. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something he had trouble dealing with, and there was a lot more family dynamic there too. But that was, I think, the biggest thing and the thing that pushed him over the edge the most.
Some have talked to me about Jehovah's Witness and that role in his life. Do you feel like you subscribe to that?
That was a huge piece of the mechanics of what ultimately led him down that road, and what affected his brother the way it did, and ultimately him as well.
I was just at the gym 2 months ago because it was a one championship event there.
Yeah.
And I saw Ryan there, and it was nice to come back. It'd been a while since I'd been back there, but it was nice to see that it still seemed thriving. There were a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's packed. I mean, you go in there just about any night of the week, and it's packed from the kids' classes to the pro practice, the whole thing.
And how many are there right now? Because I know you had one in Toronto.
The one in Toronto is still there, and that's a licensing agreement with the Toronto gym.
But the main one for you
the main one is Vegas. That's the only other one that's left. I think I had 10 at one time when the first year that we opened Extreme Couture in Vegas. Wow. And then in 2008, when the economy turned, a bunch of them went away.
Okay. What was your fate? Like when you think back, because I remember those times when you launched Extreme Couture and things were going, like it seemed like the sport was really exploding. Not to say that it's not now, but for you and your involvement in the sport as a fighter, what's your favorite time, your favorite era, your favorite year? Is there a time where you think back and you're like, man, it was great. Like those were the glory days.
I feel fortunate in that I got to kind of compete through what most people see as the golden era of the sport.
Yep, 100%.
I came in on the cusp of the transition where everybody started cross training, and I was kind of part of that whole thing. I think before that, I came in UFC 13, and before that, everybody was out to prove that their martial arts style was the best martial arts style. And I think we quickly realized there was no one martial arts style that did or encompassed everything we needed.
Right.
So I was kind of part of that second crew of guys that recognized the need to cross-train. And, there were no MMA gyms then. We were going to 24-hour fitness or wherever to do our strength and conditioning, and hopefully getting on a wrestling mat or in a jiu-jitsu school somewhere to learn this other stuff, and going to the boxing gym for the striking or a kickboxing gym for the striking. There was no MMA training center. So, Lion's Den, Team Quest, a bunch of those things grew out of that need, out of the niche of being an MMA one-stop shop.
But in terms of like for you personally, is there a period where you like really felt like, man, this was the time of my life that you think back to?
I mean, the whole thing was such an amazing ride.
Okay.
And to enter something on a whim in 1997, literally because it was interesting, and I saw guys I knew from the wrestling world that were doing it, and fortunate enough to get in back then, and then for it to just explode. In my third show, my fourth fight was for the championship of the world. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Who convinced you to enter it?
I had a friend, Jim Townsend.
Okay.
Who was another wrestler. lived in Malibu, running a production company in Malibu, and we met at the College Invitational and State Line. Usually it's in Vegas, but that particular year it was at Buffalo Bills and State Line. And he's like, "Oh man, did you see Coleman? Did you see Don Fry? You know, in that MMA thing, you should, or No Holds Barred back then. You should do that." And I'm like, he's like, "No, I know how to get the application. I'll send it in." And so that's how it started.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you even watch it?
I had seen one tape. Of Fry competing, and obviously Fry and I were teammates at Oklahoma State, so I was immediately intrigued with what he was doing there and what was going on, and that's what started it.
Wow, what do you think your life would be like if that never happened? Because
I would probably still be coaching at the collegiate level somewhere if MMA had not come along. I was the assistant coach at Oregon State back then. The head coach did not like MMA or the fighting. He thought it was bad for wrestling, and really kind of forced me to make a decision, which I wasn't very happy about at that time, but quickly realized I'm glad he made me choose one or the other, because I would have tried to do both and it wouldn't have worked out. So
he basically said, you have to leave if you want to do this?
What are you going to be? You're going to be a wrestling coach, or you're going to be a fighter?
Wow. And you chose fighting.
And
was that a hard choice?
It was a scary choice.
Right.
I had a family to support,
right.
And that was a great job with great benefits, and nobody knew what was going to happen with MMA, so it was a bit of a risk to just jump out of a solid job and pursue MMA full time.
Do you think you would have been content if that was your life?
I think I would have.
Yeah.
But I also think that because I'd had the setbacks in both the NCAA finals wrestling and the Olympic trials, trying to make the Olympic team, that I was still hungry. I still wanted to compete. And that hunger drove me into MMA and trying my hand at this new sport.
I was talking about this with Ben before the show. So you were an alternate 3 times in the Olympics.
4, actually.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. But did you ever actually go to the Olympics?
I went and watched.
You watched, okay.
As a support, as part of the support staff and workout partner and scouting partner.
Yeah. What years?
88 was my first, so 88, 92, 96, and 2000.
2000, wow.
I went to the 96 games were in Atlanta.
Yep.
I went to Spain, and I also went to Australia.
Wow, but you never
got to compete.
Do you consider yourself an Olympian because you were an alternate?
No, wrestling is one of those pure sports. The alternates don't really. I mean, we're there to support the team.
Yeah.
But you don't get. It would. I don't think it's ever happened actually where an alternate got pushed in. Once those guys weigh in that first match, whatever happens to them after that, whether they win, lose, get hurt, there are no substitutes from that point on. So unless somebody got hurt the week before and couldn't weigh in that first time, there's no way an alternate's going to get to compete. Now, I made the world team, which is basically the Olympics in a non-Olympic year, 4 times, and wrestled at the World Championships, and did well. I think the best I did was 97. Right before the Belfort fight, placed 9th at the Worlds in Greco. Tons of fond memories.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, he's going to be on in like 15, 20 minutes. DC, when he couldn't compete because of his kidneys, I wonder if the alternate got to step in 2000. And
I
what would
wonder
that be?
Because
8.
His issues prevented him from making weight. I think he actually tried to step on the scale, and I think at that point it's too late to put a substitute in there.
Okay.
So I think we just didn't get to compete at that weight.
Okay.
I think if he'd have been ill enough to say, look, I don't think I can do this, then we could have put a substitute in at that point.
Right.
But once he stepped on the scale, that's it.
Are you or Daniel Cormier the greatest Oklahoma State wrestler turned MMA fighter?
I don't know. I mean, Daniel's
amazing.
What a
debate, huh?
Yeah, Daniel's amazing, and
did you think he would turn into this?
Did I think it would turn into sport?
No, did you think he would turn into the fight? I think he.
I absolutely believed he had.
Really?
100%. Had seen him in the gym, the way he implements his wrestling and his strengths into his fighting style. He has those naturally heavy hands, reminding me a little of Henderson. I don't think Danny ever knew he could punch like that till we started punching people.
Right.
And he started knocking people on their butts. And I don't know if Daniel was ever a big, I don't think he was in a lot of trouble or street fights. So I don't think he knew he had those heavy hands either till we started this.
Yeah, I actually truly believe that he's one or two in terms of like the greatest of all time. Like,
yeah, he's fantastic.
It's unbelievable.
Amazing technician, great. I love his personality. So
yes, he was supposed to fight Brock Lesnar, as you may have heard. That fell through.
Yeah,
you got to fight Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
you believe him that he's done?
I don't know.
He says this all the time.
He said it a few times.
Yeah.
You know, and he's had some medical, the diverticulitis
Right.
and some of those things that are genuinely tough things to deal with. But it's hard to say.
Yeah.
You know, what's making a headline and what's genuine.
What's negotiations, right?
Yeah.
When he hit you, like with those paws.
The thing that's so deceptive about him is he's long.
Yeah.
I don't realize he looks so thick.
Yeah.
You think he's short. But
Right.
He's very long.
He's got like an Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, it
arms,
just keeps
right?
coming.
That was the thing.
What was my undoing?
That's what you remember most about him.
Yeah.
Because I remember like he hit you
I
like
rolled that punch and
Right.
it just kept coming and hit me right behind the ear and
Right.
and knocked me right on my butt. So
And those aren't the punches that necessarily like hurt the most, right? It's just the button.
yeah, it was just a flash.
Right. Man. But in terms of like the behemoth of a man, you never fought anyone like him, right? Like just trying to.
No, not as
Right?
big and as athletic as he is.
Yeah.
It's rare to find a guy that size that can move that well. You know, obviously Tim is a taller guy than Brock and,
Right.
and as heavy, but Tim's not as athletic and doesn't move quite as well as Brock moves around.
Is the Tim fight the one that people want to talk to you about the most?
That's a lot of people's favorite.
Right.
Between the Tim fight and the Tito fight, I think those are the two that get brought up the most.
When you were slapping his butt?
Spanking him.
Yeah. Okay, spanking, my bad. That was a great moment. You screwed up all their plans. Remember?
Yeah.
You were. Did you?
I think I was in that situation a few times in my career.
Oh, really? You felt
Yeah.
that? You felt like the cards were stacked.
I was the fly in the ointment.
Yeah.
I think they weren't keen, beating Belfort the first time.
Yeah.
He was literally their poster boy.
Right.
And they did not think that was going to go down that way. I'd heard stories that Meyerowitz was literally jumping up and down, screaming no.
Really?
In the production trailer.
Gosh.
As I was winning that fight. And then obviously, the Fertittas and Dana bought the company in 2001. And I think, I was the heavyweight champion at 39, almost 40 years old when that happened. And I don't think that they thought that was very marketable. So I always felt like they were always trying to find a way to get me beat or get me out of there. And it just didn't work out.
Do you remember the first time you met them, the Fertittas and Dana?
I had met Dana previous to them that previous year in December in Japan.
Oh, really?
I was over there cornering Matt Lindland
Okay.
in one of the last UFC Japans.
Okay.
And Dan Henderson in a Pride.
Right.
And Dana was still representing Chuck and Tito at that time, and he was interested in me, in picking me up and representing me.
Really?
And I had just talked to the guys from Battle Management, Jeremy Lappin and Peter Levin, and then met Dana while I was there in Japan. And then when it came back, he let me know. I let him know that I chose to go with Battle, and he said, well, I couldn't have represented you anyway. There's something coming down the pike. You're going to be excited about it, Oh,
wow.
I can't say anything, and then obviously found out a month later that the Fertittas bought the company and he was the new president.
Wow.
So it was, definitely
Do
changed the sport.
Do you feel like the fact that you didn't choose him as a manager?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that was something he took personal, and it wouldn't have worked out anyway, obviously,
Right.
because he was in position to be the new president of the organization.
And what about when you met the Fertittas? Do you remember that?
It was after that, they started the big campaign to kind of rebrand the sport and take it to the next level. And that was the first time I had met Lorenzo. I don't think I met Frank until actually one of the fights.
Okay.
Where he, obviously came ringside to a lot of the fights.
Your son isn't competing anymore.
Ryan's fighting still with Bellator.
He is.
Yeah.
When's the last time he fought?
November.
Okay.
In Israel.
That's right. Against Chaim Ghazali.
Yeah,
Will he
yeah.
fight again?
He has more fights on his contract. It's really up to him.
Okay.
He's 36. He's been fighting 10 years. I feel like he's looking at the end of it.
Yeah.
So it's really, again, one of those personal things. It's up to him and his lovely wife. I know they're hankering to start a family and all of that too. So I think all those are factors that he's considering right now.
Seeing him fight, like actually seeing your son fight, what is that like?
Well, it started with wrestling. I watched him wrestle all through junior high and high school, and I got way more nervous for those matches than anything. And so I think we kind of came with, figured out how to deal with that. Me being in the same sports.
Right.
If anything, dragging around the same last name was a burden.
Right.
He got a target on his back almost from the jump. So, and he's just such a great kid, such a smart kid. He's taken all that in stride. He's diligent. He has a genuine passion for the sport. So both as a father or a coach, what else could you want?
Did you find yourself getting very anxious when you were cornering him or watching him?
You just want him to do well.
Right.
You see the work. You see, you know what he put into that, and you want him to do well. But you feel that way about any fighter that you're cornering, that you're coaching, that you're part of their process. So,
but it's got to be a little different when it's your son, right?
There's always that added layer. Wearing the dad hat too.
Sure.
So most parents are like, "Oh my God, weren't you worried that he'd get injured?" I'm like, I've been doing this for a long time. I've never seen anybody seriously injured. Nothing that didn't heal up in a little bit. So I wasn't worried about him that way.
Okay.
I was just happy that he found something that, he was passionate about.
How many kids in total did you have?
I have 3.
3. And the other 2, what do they do?
Amy is 34. She lives up in Portland.
Okay.
She got a degree in sociology, and she was working with handicapped folks, setting up their benefits and their treatment and stuff. My youngest is 16.
Okay.
He's just driving.
Wow.
This last month. So he's been doing martial arts for 7 or 8 years. Done a little jiu-jitsu, done a lot of karate. Tried wrestling for a season, but wasn't really his thing. He's in high school now. We'll see if he comes back to wrestling, but I doubt it. I think he really enjoys the karate and the jiu-jitsu.
Any chance he actually fights?
Anything's possible. He's a big
interest?
kid. He's a smart kid, but I don't know. Again, I'm not going to push him anyway. It'll be his decision if
Would you
he
prefer
does.
he doesn't fight?
I just think he's such a smart kid.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of other options. He's a great musician, actually. He plays piano and guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does he ever ask you
I keep
questions?
telling him he needs to learn how to sing.
Yeah. That's where the real money's at.
Yeah.
Does he ask you questions about the fight game where you get the sense that...
He watches his brother now.
Okay.
He never really watched me fight. He was too young back then.
Does he ever ask you about the old fights, watching the old fights?
No.
Really?
No, he doesn't.
I feel like if my dad was Randy Couture, I'd want to talk to him about,
Not yet, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. He seems to be more interested in the acting stuff.
Oh, interesting.
And, he loves to watch movies and TV, so I think he may have some interest there.
Okay.
We'll see.
What about Chael? Chael was here a couple of weeks ago, and he said that he's fighting Lyoto Machida next. He said the impetus for this fight, his motivation for this fight, is he saw you get kicked in the face, and he said on that night, I will avenge that loss some way, somehow. And so that is his driving factor for this fight. How about that? Did you know that?
I had not heard that.
Okay.
But
sometimes Chael likes to tell stories to sell fights, but it was a good story.
Literally since he was in high school.
Yeah.
Tried to recruit him to Oregon State. And then, when he started MMA, when he was on the Greco team, and me and Dan he was one of our workout partners back then, and he ended up being an alternate on the Olympic team, I think, through that experience. And so I just, he's great. I enjoy watching him, and I enjoy the persona that has become Chael Sonnen too.
Was he like that? No, not at all, right?
I think he's shocked all of us with those first interviews. Like, holy crap, is that Chael?
Yeah. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Do you still keep in touch?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he messages me now and then, and we still stay in touch for sure.
You ever still go back there?
I go back to Oregon to see my youngest. He lives in Bend.
Okay.
And occasionally Portland to see my daughter, Amy.
Does he ask you anything about, fighting Machida?
Always. Well, he hasn't yet.
Not yet.
But he always usually,
he does.
He was fighting Fedor when he was, who
He
didn't
hits you
matter
up.
what it was. Yeah, he hits me up. What do you think?
Interesting.
What should be my approach? What should I sharpen? Some things don't go away. We've been part of that process with him since the beginning.
Does that make you feel good that he reaches out and asks?
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always appreciate him and the fact that he's interested in my perspective.
As far as youngsters right now in the sport, are there any that you are very excited about? Are there any that you feel like have it?
Oh, there's so many. I got a gym full of them.
Really?
Look at Kevin Lee and on down the line, Danny Davis Jr. There's just a bunch of young kids in there that are hungry and in there every single day, kind of embracing the grind and trying to get it done. There's a bunch of them.
What about Kayla Harrison?
Kayla's amazing.
Yeah.
I've loved, I got to see her before her very first MMA fight,
right?
Talking to her about the sport and the things she was training on and how she saw judo fitting into that fighting style. And it's been fun to watch her compete and see that kind of unfold before your eyes. And, to have a 2-time gold medalist jump in, you were talking about Jordan Burroughs wanting to fight. And I mean, I think anybody with that combative sports background in a matter of short order could be up and running and compete well.
What's interesting to me about Kayla is that initially it seemed like she wasn't all that into this MMA thing, right? Like I remember when she won the second gold medal at the press conference, people were asking her about it, and she's like, I don't like the trash talk. I don't like the way the sport is. Now it seems like she's all in. She's at ATT, living there, super motivated. She has become the face of PFL. I don't think there's any sort of argument there at this point, right?
No, and I think that they were honestly grooming her for that,
right?
Because she is so articulate, because it's not about smack talk or any of this other sensation stuff. She can back it up.
Yeah.
And, so it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. Sarah Kaufman's no joke. This Pacheco that she's fighting on Thursday night is, she's got 4 knockouts and 7 submissions. She was undefeated for her first 10 fights. She's a very, very game fighter. So it'll be interesting to see how Kayla, who's 3-0 in MMA, you got to count all that background in combative sports too, but see how she deals with those problems and solves them.
And so on Thursday, it's the 155-pound women's tournament commencing, also the 170-pound male. Is it just those two, or is there a third one?
It's just those two weight classes.
Yeah. Ray Cooper
against Kanaka, who, there's been a lot of heat.
Yes.
That's bragging rights in Hawaii right there,
right.
And Kanaka takes that seriously.
Some of the lineup right over there.
It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Ray Cooper's, Kanaka's manager, Brian Butler, actually just posted on Instagram like the whole backstory between the two. Like this is real Hawaiian bragging rights between them going down on Thursday. Like they've been on this collision course, and it's going to play out on Thursday. It's actually going to be the first time I attend a PFL event this Thursday. I'll be there in person.
Awesome.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like. It's always good to see different shows, and how I don't think it's good to have just one show in this sport, right?
Yeah.
As we talked about earlier. So I'm curious to see how it.
Well, Nassau Coliseum's amazing. It's a great venue. Yep. They do a great job of setting it up there, and it's a fun place to be.
I appreciate you doing this.
Great fun. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Making the trek, Randy. I really. Is your first time at ESPN? No, I can't imagine.
I was here
promoting things
years ago when I was still fighting.
Right.
It's grown.
It has.
This has really grown.
Yes, it's like a sports wonderland when you come here in the middle of nowhere.
It is.
Bristol, Connecticut. Are you heading to New York?
Yep. I'm going to get in the car and head up there.
You should go watch Askren and Burroughs.
I'm going to try and do that. I didn't know that was going on, so I'm definitely going to try and catch the streets.
We might have made this happen.
Yeah.
At the theater, where you guys are going to have your championship.
Literally some of the best wrestlers in the world competing tonight.
Well, this all worked out.
Yeah.
Okay. There he is. Randy Couture, PFL, commences this Thursday on ESPN. 10 events, and then the finale of the season, the second season, will be December 31st at the Hulu Theater. You're looking at Randy's resume right over there. I really appreciate this, Randy. Thank you very much. They'll walk you out right over there.
Thanks
we just keep
me.
the tree and rolling along. There he is, Randy the Natural Couture. What an honor having him in studio. What a pleasure to have one of the greatest ever in the history of this sport joining us here face to face. What a cool moment. And so again, that is this Thursday on the ESPN family of networks. You see it right over there, NYCB Live, which is the former Nassau Coliseum, the War Memorial. And how about that? We had Ben Askren, and then we had Randy Couture, like wrestling royalty here, back to back, sitting in our studio. And in a matter of seconds, hopefully, he will join us. Our next guest, who is Daniel Cormier, more wrestling royalty. Danny Rubenstein, manager to the Stars, telling me that no one filled in for DC at the Olympics. He made weight and was scheduled to wrestle, so it was just a forfeit for the guy he was supposed to wrestle. So that is the tying of that story. How about this? I'm still sort of in awe that we had Askren and Couture back to back in studio. Holy smokes! I mean, when you're sitting here talking to Randy Couture, like you feel the history just oozing out of his pores. Like, I mean, that is a living legend right there. Considering what this man has done and who he did it against and how important he was in terms of building the sport. I mean, just an absolute honor. What a privilege Very fun day. Okay, later in the program, we're going to be joined by Jorge Lockhart, the nutritionist extraordinaire, who will be sharing some very interesting news with us. So I do suggest you stick around for that. Cynthia Calvillo, who is one of the top strawweights in the world, she will join us as well to talk about her future. She also has some news to share. We're also going to be joined by Arjan Bhullar, who was successful on Saturday in Ottawa. He defeated Juan Adams, but his contract is up. And he's got some things in the works, some interesting things. I alluded to one of those things in my 21 Thoughts column that just came out on ESPN.com earlier today. And at the top of the hour, we're going to be joined by Rory MacDonald. You may have been following that story over the past week or so. His post-fight comments after the John Fitch fight, and also on Tuesday, he came out and officially told us that he will not be retiring. He will be fighting Neiman Gracie, and that fight is going to take place June 14th. So I had a lot of thoughts about all of that, and I'm curious to hear from Rory MacDonald, get his thoughts on where he stands, how he feels about his career, and whatnot. I didn't mention it at the top because we wanted to get to Ben Askren. Of course, we're coming off the UFC Ottawa event this past Saturday. Donald Cerrone, successful against Ally Quinta. What a fight, what a performance from Donald Cerrone. He is undefeated still since becoming a dad, 3-0. You're looking at the results right over there. The biggest story, of course, the main event, Cerrone, Ally Quinta. And it was fairly, I mean, by the time the fight was over, we all know, we all knew who won. We all knew that Cerrone won. I have so much respect for Ally Quinta, for the damage he took, for refusing to quit, for never backing down. But in the end, that was a Cerrone fight, and he has just looked incredible since coming down to 155 from 170. His fight against Alex Hernandez was phenomenal in January, and his fight on Saturday was phenomenal. And so it leads us to start questioning where he is in the division. And for the first time, he is talking about fighting for the belt. He is talking about wanting to be a champion. I remember throughout the majority of his career, we would ask him about the belt. We would ask him about, where he stands in the division. He would always say, I just want to fight. I just want to get paid. I talked about this in my column today. I remember talking to him after he beat Dennis Seaver and he improved to 4-0 in the UFC. And we talked to him about the belt. He's like, I just want to fight one more time this year. I just want to get more money. I just want to be active. I don't really care about the belt. And I remember thinking like, wow, this doesn't make any sense. No one talks about the belt that way. Everyone wants to be a champion. Well, now he is starting to evolve. And I think it's very much because he is a dad. And I think because of the fact that he finally became a father and now he's fighting for someone else, in a weird way, like I know to maybe a non-parent, you might think like, oh, he's being selfish now, like he just cares about the belt. In fact, him talking about the belt and him wanting to be a champion so bad makes me think that he is more unselfish than ever. It makes me think that Donald Cerrone is now starting to not just think about himself and think about his son, and he wants to tell his son, I am a champion. He wants to show his son the belt. He wants to show him that he actually accomplished, the greatest thing that an MMA fighter can accomplish at this point, and that is becoming a UFC champion. And so it's actually a beautiful thing to watch because we are seeing a man evolve in front of our eyes, and perhaps a little different than the Rory MacDonald story, we're actually seeing him sort of come to the realization that, hey, I'm the winningest fighter in UFC history. At this point, I'll probably go down, if I don't win the title, as the greatest fighter to never win a belt. Last week, I talked about Jacare, the greatest fighter to never fight for a belt. Well, Cerrone would be the greatest fighter to never win a belt if it does go that way. And it's cool to see him, become singularly focused and say to the world, no, I do want a title shot. I do want to become a champion. And this is very different than what we heard from him in the past. And I really respect it. And I think it's really cool to hear. Where he fits in that division is a totally different story because I don't think he is going to get a title shot next. Of course, we know that Khabib Nurmagomedov is most likely going to return in September. If all works out, it will be in Abu Dhabi, and what a great scene that will be. And the fight that will probably happen is Dustin Poirier. Cerrone talked about Conor McGregor, and that is certainly a fight that is worth putting together. It's certainly a fight that makes sense from a draw standpoint, from a box office standpoint. I won't harp on the call. This time, it was a little less like laissez-faire. He pretty much said, like, it almost seemed like the title was more important than Conor, but Conor was a nice, plan B, if you will. I'm not gonna dissect that with a fine-tooth comb anymore. I said my piece, and again, I said it out of love. I said it because I was looking out for the guy. I said it because he's the winningest fighter in UFC history, and he deserves to believe that and tell the world that. And so again, I'll just say that one last time. But it seems if I was in charge, I would do the Khabib Poirier fight because I think you have to do the Poirier fight for Khabib next. And I also think that the best fight to make is Tony Ferguson versus Conor McGregor for Conor McGregor. Tony Ferguson, as I reported earlier, is in Las Vegas actually right now, and he's going to meet with the UFC brass in a matter of moments. And then I would do Justin Gaethje versus Donald Cerrone. That's the fight that I think would be incredible from a stylistic standpoint, and I also think that just in terms of ranking and who's next and whatnot, it's the fight that makes the most sense. So we'll see what happens there with Cerrone, with Ferguson, with Conor. There's a lot going on, but in my opinion, the big story of this past week was the fact that Brock Lesnar said, peace, I'm out of here, I'm not fighting, I was stringing you guys along for the last 10 or so months, I'm out, and in comes Stipe Miocic, and it appears as though what they want is Stipe versus DC2. Well, we have not talked to Daniel Cormier in 2019. Could you believe it? He's always been so, but he hasn't been on this show since we moved here. And so I had to bother him and get him on the program, and he's kind enough to join us. So we'll keep this wrestling royalty thing going on here. We went from Askren to Couture to now Cormier on the program. Joining us on the phone, the one and only, the UFC heavyweight champion, Daniel DC Cormier. Daniel, how are you?
What's up, Ariel? How you doing, bud?
It's good to talk to you. It's been a while.
It's been a minute. I mean, it's been a minute. You got a new studio. You got everything. It's very odd that I have not been on. I thought you cut me off, but good to see you invited me back.
Well, I felt like I was bothering you a little bit towards the end of the year. It felt like it was like too many asks, even though I will maintain that they were all very relevant. You were just in the news a lot in the fourth quarter of 2018. But I think it's been good that we had this separation. I'm so happy that you're back on. Like I said, we have a lot to talk about. So let's start with what happened last week. Are you disappointed? Are you ultimately upset that the Brock Lesnar fight did not come to fruition?
With this whole Brock Lesnar thing, it was when Stipe and I's fight got announced, Stipe and I both were pretty knowledgeable of the idea that whoever won was probably going to get to fight Lesnar. And I imagine he was going to do the same thing that I did. I mean, obviously he wouldn't have waited. He waited and he lost, so I got excited, as a fan of Brock and as a guy that's known Brock for a long time. Brock and I have a story. Whenever we were both in junior college, he was the heavyweight. I was 97-pounder, and people would always wonder who would win. And then Minnesota, Oklahoma State. So there's a lot of history in terms of why I wanted to compete against him. But when it didn't happen, you just kind of move on to the next thing, and this is what it is. It was a little disappointing in the sense that I would have loved to compete against him. It's a big fight, big moment, but I've always been a guy that just kind of does what's up next.
To the best of your knowledge, why didn't it come to fruition?
I don't know. I think, when we get these fights, there's a lot of negotiations. There are a lot of things that need to be discussed and hammered out. I don't know if Brock was able to come to terms with the UFC. I just don't know, but I'm sure he'll bounce back. He always seems to land on his feet. So I just know that I got a call saying that Brock is going to be done fighting, and what do you want to do next?
Do you believe that he is done?
I think that Brock's a competitor, and I do believe that if the right opportunity presents itself for him, he would do it. I mean, look, the guy's a fighter, man. Everybody kind of shits on Brock Lesnar and talks as if this guy can't fight, but he's a fighter and he's a competitor, and he likes money. So for the right amount of money and the right opportunity, I'm sure Brock Lesnar could be convinced to come back.
So when you got the call and you were told that, Brock is out of the picture, what do you want to do next? What did you say?
From the moment me and Brock were in the octagon and we were shoving and we had the WrestleMania moment, right afterwards they said, Brock, Stipe Miocic had defended this belt all these times and he was this and he was that and people call him the greatest heavyweight. I said, listen, and I've really stood match. I've said it from day one, and I've always stood firm in that belief. And when Brock wasn't fighting, that was the conversation we had. I said, well, I've always said I'd fight Stipe again if Lesnar couldn't fight. So I was like, let's fight Stipe.
Okay, so they announced that the Stipe fight is happening. From your perspective, is it official?
Well, until, when the pen goes to paper, then it's official. But a lot of the terms now have been discussed. I got to speak with them this morning, and, we're pretty set to go. My wife has a few concerns about, the fight and just things, normal things. Wife, last time I was in Anaheim, I got knocked out. So she's like, do we really want to go back to Anaheim? Those little things are kind of in her head, but I think we're well on our way.
Okay, but it's not a done deal as far as you're concerned.
I just have to sign the bout agreement. I have it now. I have all my stuff. The terms are good. It's just, yeah. I'm sure it's gonna happen. The fight's gonna happen.
Okay. Do you have concerns about fighting in Anaheim again? Like you said, the place where you last, the last time you were there, you got knocked out. Do you have weird feelings, weird thoughts about that?
Louisiana, so voodoo is real. but I try to believe in my preparation. As long as I'm prepared, I feel like I'll be okay. I take a different approach to those things. Like for me, it's like, well, I lost there last time. I want to go and change my memories of Anaheim by winning there. And I lost in Las Vegas. 4 months later, I was back winning the UFC championship. So I just don't like to cut off a place based on being unsuccessful in a competition. I'd rather go and try to make it better.
For you, going from the challenge of fighting Brock to the challenge of fighting a guy you knocked out a year ago, like, does it feel the same? Like, does it feel like, I need to get motivated for this. I need to get up for it. I already conquered this mountain.
I want to. I'm going to be motivated for the fight. That's one thing that I will always do. I'm very disciplined in my preparation for these competitions. I really am. But my thing is, I'll go fight him again. I just don't know how I can. I don't know how I can beat him better. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I can beat him better than I beat him last time. But to me, it's just about getting a victory. If I win a decision this time, then I won a decision. It doesn't matter. I just know that the expectation from the people outside, it's tough to top the way I did it last time. I mean, that was just such a special moment, to knock out the longest reigning heavyweight champ of all time within one round. It was truly, truly phenomenal. But I intend on beating him again. I do believe that just stylistically, it's a good matchup for me. And I feel like as the fight was going on, I was starting to get his timing. I was starting to kind of feel him. And I just feel that I'm a better mixed martial artist than Stipe. If
you had your druthers, were there any other candidates that were of interest, guys you haven't fought, the Ngannous of the world, people like that? Or, if it wasn't going to be Brock Lesnar, did it have to be Stipe?
It had to be him.
Okay.
It had to be him because of what he had done prior. I mean, you can't ignore what this guy has done in the heavyweight division, defending that belt all those times and winning in the ways that he did. And Stipe has always had a reputation for being such a good guy, a guy that does a lot of things positively, not only in his community, but just for mixed martial arts, and I knew that if I wasn't going to fight Brock, it was going to have to be him, and he deserved that. Now, when we were on The Ultimate Fighter, there was a lot of sunshine and rainbows between us. We seemed as if we might maybe friends. Like, now I have a little bit of a different approach to our relationship this time. I don't necessarily feel, I did not like the approach that he took in just kind of waiting. I think he's so good that even if he would have fought over the course of this year, he still would be in the same position. So I don't necessarily feel that I have to be nice to him anymore.
That was actually my next question, because it did seem like you guys were chummy going into the first
Yeah.
fight. He put out that video with his kid and said that, I would have done the same for you. Do you feel like he came across as a little entitled
Well, for sure. Absolutely. I felt the whole time I said he was a bit entitled, man, it would have been different if we did not understand. These are conversations we had with the company, like, yo, one of you guys is going to get to fight Brock Lesnar. And he was just as happy as I was, so to make it seem as though I was doing something wrong after I was the one that won the fight, I just felt like it just was unfair a little bit, and then just like, every now and again, he posts a picture of him like punching me or something. I'm like, yo, what? You punched me. Okay, we fought. Of course you punched me. He's like, now I'm going to show you why I belong in a title fight. And there's a picture of him just punching me. We had a fight. Of course you have pictures of you punching me. There were like millions of people there. Like millions of people watched it. Like they saw you punch me. I have to put the damn picture up of you punching me and acting like I'm wronging you or something. Like I'm not wronging this guy. Like I'm doing exactly what we were told to do after our first fight. That's it. Like that's it. And it was just, it felt entitled. I mean, when Jones beat me the first time, I immediately scheduled another fight and said I'm gonna go fight Ryan Bader in New Orleans to try to figure out how I get back there, right?
Right.
And then he had the thing happen and I had to fight Rumble for the belt. Okay. Then when Jones beat me in July, I said, okay, I'm gonna take some time, but how do I get back? Do I go to heavyweight? How do I earn another fight with this guy? That's all I could think about. And then the stuff happened 3 weeks later, and I got the belt back, and I said, okay, I need to finish this thing enough times to get back to fighting him. That was always my thought, my intention, and that was the approach I took. So for me, I knew how bad I wanted to fight him again, so I knew I was willing to do anything, not just sit there and wait and complain the whole time about not getting exactly what you wanted.
And so for the last 2 or so years, you told us, even though I said I didn't necessarily believe you, you stuck to your guns. You said, I am going to retire when I turn 40. By the time I turn 40, I will be done.
Yep.
Well, you turned 40 in March. Happy belated birthday.
Sucked. Yep.
And you are fighting in August. And so does that mean this whole thing has been blown up, or will this be your retirement fight?
I think we have to take these things one at a time at this point. Like I'm not necessarily saying I'm going to fight 3-4 times. I think for me, it would need to be something very intriguing. I always wanted that one more fight though, Ariel. I've always wanted that one more fight. And I haven't even told anybody this. Like the reason I haven't fought and the reason I didn't fight in March was because I had back surgery in December. Like when I was about to fight Derek Lewis, and I was telling you guys all how I sneezed, and I was like, my back was so jacked, I didn't know what was going on.
Right.
It was so bad that about 2 weeks later, I started having pain going down my hip. So I was like, yo, what's going on my hip? What's going on my hip? What's going on my hip? And I would travel, and then right around Christmas, I went to Milwaukee for that last Fox show because I was like, I have to do it. My last time to work for Fox, even though my hip was bothering me. And then Kane was going to fight Ngannou. So I went in to try to help him. And I barely did anything. My back was bothering me so bad. The next morning, I couldn't even walk.
Wow.
It was like I had a disc that was bulging out of my back and was sitting on my sciatic nerve. It was out 2 inches out of the chamber that holds the disc in.
Whoa.
2 inches the disc was out. I couldn't even walk. I was like, Deron Wynn had to actually carry me out of my house into my truck to take me all around to see doctors because my wife was having to deal with my children. It was like, it was bad. That's why I haven't fought. Like I would have fought in March if I was healthy, but I really probably should not have fought Derek Lewis. I was so hurt, but the UFC staff, they massaged me and made me feel well enough to where on that day I was able to compete. And then as time went on, I guess it was just getting worse. And I had back surgery, so
wow. So
that's why.
when did you have the surgery?
December 22nd. I
Whoa.
had a surgery on my back. Yeah, I had surgery. I didn't tell anybody this.
Yeah.
Why?
How'd you keep this secret?
Just because I didn't tell everybody. I mean, I'm just sitting there like everybody's talking about, like, I'm afraid of Stipe and why am I not fighting this dude and this dude? And whole time I'm just like laid up on my back, like, you guys are so stupid. Like, when have I ever been afraid to fight somebody? I couldn't physically do it. So now that I'm back healthy and I'm able to train and I feel good. Look, man, I've got a great surgeon. You know, Dr. Carl Stidham in the Bay Area has fixed my hand. He's dealt with he found the perfect back surgeon for my back, and I feel better than I have in years. I thought my back was just bad because I wrestled my whole life, but obviously there was way more to it, and I got the perfect guy to fix my back, and now I feel even better than I did 2 years ago.
Wow. And any concern, like, so you feel okay now? Did they tell you when they did the surgery that you shouldn't fight anymore, that this should be it? What would
No.
Okay.
It wasn't that bad, right? See, I was still trying to do March 2nd. I was like, can I do March 2nd? I was like, can I do March 2nd? When I asked the back surgeon, he goes, that's about 10 weeks away, 11 weeks. He goes, you're going to be out for about 6 weeks. He goes, if you can do a 5-week training camp, that's on you. And I was like, nope, can't do it. You know, it was just too bad. So, yeah, I needed to get that fixed. This is something that I've been dealing with my whole life. You know, I've had a lot of injuries. I've had a 25-year combat career. So it was time for me to go and get that fixed. I got it fixed, and I'm telling you, man, today I feel better than I did 3 years ago.
Wow. Okay. So that explains a lot about why you didn't fight. So when I asked you the question about the time, you sort of left the door open here, and Dana White has repeatedly said there's 3 fights left for you potentially. There's Brock, there's Stipe, and there's John. You knew I was going to ask you about this, but it seems like you're leaving the door open for that potential trilogy fight.
Yeah, you know, man, look, man, that's all I want. You know, I think when I fight Jones, I think that I feel most complete when I'm preparing for a competition against that guy, because it makes me train harder. It makes me train smarter. I do everything right in preparation, and I believe that if I do stick around, that would be the fight that I would do it for. And it would be at 205 pounds because I need to go and get that back from him.
Why? Because you feel like it's not the same because he beat you twice there. You have to do it at 205?
That's exactly why. You know, I don't need the deck stacked in my favor. My whole life I've overcome odds, right? I've faced uphill battle after uphill battle my entire life, and I've always been able to get through it. You know, this is one of the only things that I've not been able to conquer, and I need to go do it. I have to get it right, and I have to get it right on the same terms. So if there's a fight out there, we'll be him and I again, and it'll be at 205 pounds.
So are you saying that this is what you want, that after Stipe, this is what you're going to go after?
I don't know. You know, again, I have to take everything one day at a time.
Right.
Like I was so stern in the fact that I was done. You know, and Ariel, I don't need to fight anymore for the same financial reasons most people fight, for security, for direction. I have all that. You know, I have enough money. You know, I have jobs on top of jobs to keep me busy after I'm done. And I got my wrestling teams. I've got the high school team. I've got so many things going that I don't need this just to need it. You know, so if I walk away from this thing, I'm fine. I just need to take it one at a time. I have to focus on Stipe. Stipe's too good for me to go, I got to fight John Jones next. That's ridiculous. Then I'll lose. And then nothing's on the table. Then people are showing me the door, right? I could be one of the very few guys that gets to make the determination when he wants to walk away if I win this fight, and walk away at the top of the game.
But would it be fair to say that there's only 2, like Dana is correct, there are only 2 left?
There's only 2 fights out there for me. You know, there's a Miocic rematch and there's a Jones fight if there is a fight.
Okay.
I just don't anticipate just fighting anybody at this point.
Right. And would it be fair to say during your time off, like you have sort of come to the realization that maybe you will feel a little bit incomplete if you don't go after Jones one more time? Because that's what it sounds like based on what you're saying. I have not heard you say this. And so I'm a little bit taken aback by it because I thought that you were going to tell me, stop asking me about it, I'm done. And you threw me a curveball here. So I'm surprised to hear you say that, to be honest.
No, it's just competitively. You know, like competitively, if you want to make everything right competitively, then you go get back the one that you lost. That's nothing new. I've always said that. You know, like if I want to make everything complete, this is the one that I have to get back. He's the only guy that's beaten me. But if I don't, trust me, like I can be fine. I could be fine. But I'm just fiercely competitive. It's just who I am, and it's allowed me to be who I am today. So when I say if there is another fight after this one, then it would have to be that one. That's it.
Has the surgery maybe extended your career a little bit? Like you feel so good? Are you starting to rethink, like maybe I got 2 more years left in me?
I feel like it's helped me because of all the pain I was in. I mean, Chris Camacho used to actually sit there and he'd have to just be like stretching me after I was done. You know, like, but now I don't have to do that. I can stretch myself. I can be good and feel good. You know, before, man, I was in immense pain. Like I'd wake up in the morning just walking, like leaned over at the waist. My back was just that bad. But now I feel fine.
Wow. When you watch John, especially the last fight, do you say to yourself, man, come on, this isn't the same John Jones. I got to go after him one more. Like, does that give you motivation too?
You know how I tell you that I believe Stipe Miocic is going to be better this time. He'll be really motivated.
Right.
Because I know how motivated I was to fight Jones the second time after he beat me.
Right.
I know how difficult this fight is going to be for me. And you watch Jones against a guy like I don't even know who he fought last. Anthony Smith, yeah. Right. And then the next guy that he's fighting,
Thiago Santos.
And you see he's fighting and he's doing so much to beat these dudes, right? They're not even really close. But as motivated as I am for these fights, I feel as though he's as motivated too. I think that we don't complement each other in the normal sense, but I think competitively we make each other better in terms of preparations.
Wow.
So if he fought those guys, he may look like that, but if we fight, you'll always see the best version of me and you'll see the best version of him. Like, I think to this day, for all that I've done on January 3rd of 2015 and on July, I don't know when we fought, July 20, whatever it was, 2017, those are the 2 best versions that I've ever been in my career because I know how motivated I was to win those fights. I don't know if I've ever been better, and he's been able to solve that puzzle. So if I was to fight him again, I would need to be even better than I was back then.
Do you still think about that second fight a lot?
I do a little bit every now and again because I feel like I just did not stay focused. You know, I was fighting and, you know, he was hitting me and we were going back and forth. And when I was laser focused, right, I'm checking kicks, I'm countering, we're landing, we go 1-1 into the 3rd round in terms of judging, and then by the end of the 2nd round, I'm like talking trash, and I'm just like, I should have just stayed focused. I've never done that. I'm not a guy that fucking is in there talking to people and stuff. I'm laser focused. I know what I'm trying to accomplish, and I need to stay in that. And I feel like by not being 100% zoned in as I should have been, it cost me ultimately.
Do you think that he, if offered, would accept the fight? Because he has said, you know, he's kind of going back and forth like, I've done it already. But then when he beat Alex, he was like, hey, do you see where you're at?
There's no question he would.
Right.
There's no question he would.
Yeah.
Because even though like it, because look, as a competitor, you want to do it. And also we make the most money together. if you like money, we make the most money together. So, yeah, he would definitely take the fight.
Okay.
I think he should. I don't know if you should always believe everything he says at face value. You might want to reconsider that. I mean, are you one of those guys that just he says, "Hey, Ariel, the sky's green," and you're like, "Okay"?
No, well,
are you one of those guys?
No, I'm not.
You gotta read that. You can't always just take everything he says at face value.
I do take the odds makers at face value, and they say that you're a slight favorite heading into the rematch. If you were an odds maker, Daniel, what would you say the odds are on you fighting Jones a third time? You see what I did there? See how I did that?
I'm not fighting Jones. I'm fighting Stipe Miocic. And that's the focus.
Okay.
I still think Stipe should be the favorite. He was the favorite last time.
What? This is the first lie you told in this interview.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
See what I did there? See what I did there? You want to lie to me, I'll lie to your ass.
Oh, my God. You still think Stipe should be the favorite? My butt. Yeah, right. I don't believe that for a second. You're going to Brazil, right? When are you going to Brazil?
Yes, I am.
When?
I'm going to Brazil on Wednesday.
I can't believe you go to international pay-per-views. I thought you were too big time for that.
This is the first one. I haven't been to a international one for a long time, but there's it's my job, man. I've got to do what I am asked to do. So I'm going to go and call that great fight. It's a great fight. I'm going to go watch Rose Namajunas defend their title down there. I get to watch Anderson Silva compete again. How good is this Volkanovski? He gets to fight the GOAT and Aldo. It's going to be great. I cannot wait to go down there. It's a fantastic card. Why wouldn't I want to go to Brazil?
There needs to be a clause in your contract, in the UFC's contract with Rose, that every time she fights, you have to be there. Like you're like JR to Stone Cold. You have to be there to say Thug Rose when she gets it done.
Let me tell you something, man. I'm not one to pat myself on my back. That was one of the best calls in mixed martial arts history. It's just when you just kind of I was at a loss for words, so all I could say was Rose, Thug Rose, Thug Rose. This was not planned. Some moments are so big that it just kind of happens, And I was talking about a guy's commentary the other day on boxing, and they said. A couple fans were like, all you do is scream Thug Rose. That's so stupid. I'm like, yo, if it's so stupid, why does the UFC love it so much they play it on all the promos? I'm doing something right because people keep backing up the truck at my house with money in it. So you cannot like it, but I am doing something right. I'm doing something right. So you may have hated the Thug Rose, but more people like you and obviously the UFC, they like it. They like the looseness I have whenever I call fights.
All right, so August 17th is your return to action. You're calling the action this Saturday. I hope they give you a stack card. I hope they throw a couple of those big names on there, right? I mean, you kind of had to carry the weight of the promotion for MSG. I hope they give you some big names.
Man, I'm telling you, I need a big fight card because some guys get great fight cards. I want one of those too. Stipe and I deserve it. Yep. We deserve it. This is going to be a fantastic fight, Ariel. This is going to be a fantastic fight. I know how hard he's going to be to beat again, but I'm going to prepare for it, and mentally I'm as ready to fight as I've been in a long time. So This little break was nice for me.
Well, you've given us a lot to chew on here, DC. This has been something else. I'm sort of.
That's what happens when you don't talk for 5 months.
I'm sort of out of breath here. I mean, you've just given me a lot to consider. And of course, I want to wish.
How about?
Yes.
How about one more thing?
Okay.
You want one more thing?
Yes, please.
You do?
Yes, I would love it.
Okay, so your little new home. Your little new home, ESPN?
Yes.
I've got a new show there, too.
Really?
So be on the lookout. Yes, I've got a new show there. And this is I can't give you 100%, but I will tell you this. I've got a new show there.
Okay.
And listen, only people that host this show are some of the greatest athletes in their choosing or given sports.
Wow.
No one else gets to host it. Only my name, when this show starts, will be listed among some of the greatest sports athletes the world has ever seen.
Whoa.
There you go.
That's it?
ESPN.
You can't tell us the whole thing?
That's it. No, I can't tell you the whole thing. I got to go to practice.
Just a taste? Can I ask?
You can have fun with yourself once I get off the phone.
Oh, Okay, because I feel like the way you like the path that you took me down, I feel like I know it, but I don't want to get you in trouble.
I won't get in trouble, but you
Okay.
can. I like to give. But then I just want to give you a little taste, like a little small taste, and then
You're like Chris
make
Paul
you
out
kinda-
there against the Warriors,
Yeah.
dropping dimes left and right. You know what I'm saying? Game 4
Got
coming
to,
up, baby. Let's go.
Let's go,
Clutch City.
Let's go.
Come on.
Let's go, Clutch City.
Damn.
Come on, man. Let's go.
DC,
I gave you a little bit though.
that was something.
I don't think you have to. If you go and you just look, you're so good at digging.
Yes.
If you dig enough, I'm pretty sure you can figure it out.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm being
Ariel.
honest. Yes.
Nice talking to you.
You're
brother.
the man, DC. Thank you so much.
You
what a
are the
pleasure.
man. All right.
He is
Bye-bye.
back. It sounds like he is back. August 17th. His back is feeling good. He had surgery on it. Who knew? Back in December. He's not fighting Brock Lesnar, but he's fighting Stipe Miocic, and it sounds like he might stick around a little longer and fight John Jones. There was a lot there. Can I make a guess? I'm going to make a guess. Detail is my guess. Detail. But that's just between us. DC's on his way to Rio, UFC 237 this weekend. Can I get the music? Can I get the dong? There it is. There's that music I love. Dong, dong, dong. Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade. I actually just got an email about this. I believe now you can buy the pay-per-views on the app. Is that true, Voice of God? Is that true?
That is correct.
That is correct. There she is.
On the app.
Who needs Corporate Jake? Get him out of here. Voice of God taking over. The takeover. It's the Voice of God. I have to get like a catchy nickname for Britt back there. I don't have one yet. I'm working on that. A lot going on. Anyway, you can buy the pay-per-views on the app. So that's big. Mazel tov to everyone involved. Rose Namajunas, Jessica Andrade, Alex Volkanovski against Jose Aldo. I just saw a picture of Jose Aldo. He looks phenomenal. And also the return of Anderson Silva against Jared Cannonier. It's all very exciting stuff. All right, speaking of exciting, I am very excited to talk to our next guest. I wanted to talk to him last week, but of course wanted to give him some space, some time. He respectfully declined, but he is so kind enough to join us this week. Let's not waste any more time. Let's say hello to the Bellator welterweight champion. There he is, smiling. So happy. Rory MacDonald, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great, Rory. Wow, we've been talking a lot about you, as you can imagine, over the past week or so, so I really appreciate you doing this. Let me just ask a very simple question, and it's one that I don't really like asking in interviews, but I feel like it's apropos. How are you doing? How are you feeling 9 days removed from your fight against John Fitch?
I'm feeling good. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Physically, mentally, you're feeling okay?
Yeah, a lot better. Obviously, in my post-fight interview, I seemed a little confused about what was going on, but after reflecting, after a couple of days, I have a better understanding going forward of my purpose and drive in the sport now. So, feeling good.
Were you surprised at the reaction that those comments generated?
Yeah, maybe a little. That I got so much attention over it. I don't know. I was just speaking from the heart in the moment. I wasn't really thinking too far ahead. I was just talking as if I was talking to only John, and that's it. And
that has sort of been, I think, something that fans have come to love and respect from you. That you keep it real. You're not very fake. You're an authentic fighter, if you will, when it comes to your comments. But you mentioned the word. Oh, did we lose you? We may have lost him. Did we lose him? Yes, we did. Okay, we'll get him back. But I wanted to ask him about something he just said. I will save that for when he returns. We'll reconnect with Rory MacDonald in a matter of moments. In case you missed it last week, he fought to a majority draw against John Fitch in San Jose in Bellator, and he is going to return to action. He posted this on social media. I believe it was Tuesday afternoon that he is going to return on June 14th to fight Neiman Gracie in the next round of the Bellator Welterweight Grand Prix semifinals. The other bracket actually will play out this Saturday just outside of Chicago as Douglas Lima, the former champion, meets Michael Venom Page. I do believe we have Rory back. Is he there? There he is. Hey, Rory.
Hey.
You said something in your previous answer that I just wanted to ask you about. You said that you felt confused. What did you feel confused about?
Well, I felt like I was unsure of like the emotions I was feeling in the fight. So I don't know if you read my statement after the fight, a couple of days after the fight.
Yep.
But for the longest time, I fought with a certain anger inside of me. So it was kind of like a release. It felt good to fight, to do damage, and like it made me feel better about myself in some kind of a way. And lately, because of my new relationship with Jesus Christ, and I just don't feel that that hurt in my heart or that pain that used to drive me. I have new life, so and peace in my heart, and I don't really have that anger that used to drive me. So finding, like, it's kind of weird to go into a fight and not go through the same emotions that I may have used to, or I'm used to feeling. So I guess I was just caught up thinking about why I'm feeling like this. What am I doing here? So I was just not sure what to make of it.
This is something that I feel like you've been feeling for a little bit, right? This isn't a new phenomenon in your life.
Not totally new, but this fight in particular was probably the most dramatic.
Okay.
I've felt it. Because as I grow closer to God and my relationship deepens and the changes are taking place, and as I'm progressing, it's becoming more evident. As I'm letting go of my old life and walking a new life, I feel it's the change more.
Did you ever have moments in the fight where you were thinking to yourself, like, I don't really want to be here, I'm not really feeling this, I wish this would just end?
No, not at all. Like, I wasn't like stressed out. I was just more thinking in my head about how I was feeling. I wasn't stressed at all about the fight. In fact, I was taking a lot of breaks just to kind of think, rather than just like worry about what I was doing in the cage. So, yeah.
I remember when we spoke after this fight was announced, but before the fight and obviously after the Mousasi fight, and you said that you didn't really feel like yourself in there against Mousasi, you couldn't pull the trigger. Were you feeling the same way, or was this a different kind of feeling?
Somewhat, but a little different. So in the Mousasi fight, I feel like it was due to mostly preparation and focus, whereas with this fight, I was very prepared, very focused, and I worked very hard, like I would have in any other of my hard training camps. So I don't feel like that was my lack of fire or anything, or determination. It was mostly just being caught up with the thinking of the what I was going through in the cage, and where I was going to move forward, and what's my what my purpose was as a fighter now. So yeah, it's a little different than the Mousasi fight.
Is it not at all scary when you're like taking breaks to think about these things, you're having these internal conversations, but there is a man out there who is trying to hurt you and knock you out? That's when you can get caught, right? That's when you can get hurt, when you're having these conversations, no?
I guess so. I guess I just wasn't really worried about it. I didn't feel in danger in the fight at all. So, John's good at what he does, and he's a good wrestler, but I didn't feel like in physical danger.
What did you make of the scorecards?
I mean, it was close. In my opinion, I feel like I won the fight, but I gave him some rounds with his wrestling control. That's for sure. I just don't feel like he won the fight. Even on the scorecards, I feel like I won. But as far as judging the fight on a whole, I mean, I clearly won the fight.
When you went to the back, what was that scene like? Because I think, like you said, your comments, the MMA world is buzzing over them. But you're the one who said them, and you're going to the back. And I was thinking, like, gosh, I wonder like what the Bellator officials are going to say to this. Like, I appreciate this honesty, but I'm not the one paying you, right? I'm not the one who put the event. So what was the mood like back there?
I think they were pretty concerned. They didn't know if I was gonna like hang up the gloves. I think everybody's was kind of hanging on the edge. Like, what am I saying there? Like, I didn't really make a decisive statement. I was just kind of gave a very confusing statement. So even me, I didn't know what it all meant at the time. So I needed time to reflect. But after only a day or two and praying about it and asking God to help me in understanding moving with what I'm supposed to do moving forward, God answered my prayers very fast, and I know that I still have more time here as a fighter, and I'm going to use this platform and fight for this platform to do my best to represent my faith, and to talk about how good God is, and be an example of that for people, and hopefully some people can find inspiration and find the Lord that way, if possible, until the next door opens.
When you walked out of the cage last Saturday, did you think there was a chance that was your last fight?
Yeah, because I was a little confused. I didn't understand what was going on, so I was unsure. Yeah.
Was it just a matter of you needing some more time, or did you have a particular conversation with someone that allowed you to decide that, okay, I am going to continue?
Well, I mean, there were a couple like key people that I talked to that I trusted, that I respect, and that help have just a good conversation about what I'm going through, that help make the decision a little more clear. But I do feel in just through thinking and reflection, I came with it up on my own through God.
Who did you speak to?
Obviously my wife and my pastor were probably the two key people that I feel that were very helpful in this situation.
My understanding is that your pastor attended the fight, correct?
Well, he's not my pastor, but he is. He's an evangelist, and he's a brother of one of the pastors at my church. So we're friends through like the church community, I guess.
The reason for bringing it up was I was wondering if that was the first time that he or someone like that came to one of your fights.
Yeah, I think so.
And do you feel like there's sort of like a tug and pull between, what you do for a living, cage fighting and things like that, and maybe the religious beliefs? Is that the struggle that you're having right now?
No, because I'm not conflicted about being a Christian and fighting.
Okay.
It was more about moving forward in my role for what I'm going to do for God, and also what I was saying about my emotions inside the cage. So what my passions, what my reasons are for fighting, what drives me to do a good job, to push through the hard times. You need something to fuel your fire, and I guess that fight was kind of me crossing a bridge between my old self and new self as a mixed martial artist. And so that walking over that bridge, so to speak, during that fight, I had some mixed emotions and confusion about what was happening. But after some reflection, I feel like I understand myself going forward, and I won't be second guessing myself in there when I fight Neiman. I have it in my heart and in my head what I want to do and what I need to do as a competitor in there now.
And when you say those words, just trying to figure, and I hate scrutinizing the honesty because it's so refreshing, but also it it leads people to start talking about your past and some of the fights that you've been in and the Robbie Lawler fight and things like that and concussions and CTE. Are you at all concerned that any of this has to do with your brain, with the wars that you've been in?
No, I honestly, I feel very healthy. I mean, I'm more clear. I'm more clear-headed now than I ever have been. So I'm not worried about brain damage.
Okay. Because you see a lot of people say he took your soul. You haven't been the same. I'm sure you see this stuff as well. And so I was just curious if you felt like any of that came into play. It is a very quick turnaround. You are returning in a little over a month, June 14th. Was there any part of you that wanted to just take a little more time off?
No, I feel after having some time of reflection and just relaxing, I'm fine to train hard and get back in there. And no, I still have my soul.
Okay. And when you say that you're having conversations with God in the cage, like what are those like?
Well, I'm not sure if I explained it properly, because I was just kind of like letting things flow out, but I was examining how I was feeling, what I was going through, and just kind of thinking deeply rather than just being in the fight.
Okay.
I wasn't necessarily in prayer or anything like that.
Okay.
But I was, obviously there was thoughts about, what's the reason for all this? Like, why am I feeling this way? And, obviously my relationship with God is a big part of the way I think. So, just, I don't know.
How did you become so religious?
I started going to church with my wife when we first met, and just hearing the word of God spoken started just taking root in me, and I kept going, and started taking more of an interest in my relationship with God and how to make myself right with God, and reading the Bible and just learning more. And in time, I gave my life to Jesus and started a new life.
How long ago was that? Like when you first started?
Well, first started would have been when I just after I first met my wife. Would have been like 2016.
Okay.
But I mean, I don't think I really like gave my life over till like the summer of 2017 is when I decided to be baptized, and yeah.
And prior to meeting your wife in 2016, you were not religious at all?
I had some moments.
Okay.
I was raised Catholic, but I never really had a relationship with Jesus. I didn't really understand that. I just kind of was told the stories, and went to church once in a while, but didn't really understand in depth of what it meant to be a Christian and what that meant. But in time, after like hearing the words spoken and reading the Bible and studying that and just growing day by day, I started to understand.
And obviously you're a part of this tournament, and there's just 2 fights left in order for you to win that $1 million. Is there a chance you go through the tournament, it all goes well, and then you call it a career?
I don't think so.
Okay. You're going to keep going?
Yeah.
So you went from walking out of the cage in San Jose 9 days ago to thinking you might retire to now it's wide open. There's no end in sight.
Yeah. I mean, obviously this career is going to end at some point, but right. I don't see it. I don't see it ending after this tournament.
Okay. And you haven't put like any sort of age or time frame to when you want to stop?
No, whenever the next door opens in my life, I'll know I'll know the time.
Is there any part of you that is scared or concerned that those feelings will come back in the Gracie fight?
No, I'm not worried at all.
Okay. I said last week that I was a little disappointed in his comments after your fight, saying that he was like, "Oh, I don't believe." You said you didn't believe what you were saying, that you're scared and things like that. And I would just like to see the fighters support each other a little more. I was wondering if you heard or read any of those comments and were disappointed or bothered by them at all, the way he was reacting to what you said in the cage.
I'm not sure if I heard everything. I think he said that he didn't believe me, that I didn't want to hurt him because he seen me really trying to hurt him. And to a degree, I understand. Like I watched the fight after, and I was going for the knockout several times, and then other times I was kind of laying back and kind of thinking rather than just doing my job and attacking. But I don't think that's what it was. I don't think it was my heart to hurt him. I think it was more of just the tug of war of emotions of being my old reasons to fight and who I am now in Christ.
Well, again, I really appreciate you opening up the way you did in the cage now, in that statement. I'm happy to hear that you're okay, Rory, that you feel good with how everything has played out, that you're going to continue. You've always been great, and I think that anyone who criticizes you for your comments, or I know in our day and age that people get uncomfortable when religion is brought up in sports and things like that, but I give you a lot of credit for not caring about what people think and just saying what's on your mind, what's in your heart as well. So thank you very much for doing this. Congrats on a great fight. Good luck June 14th. As always, great to talk to you, and it's nice to see Montreal, a little bit of Montreal in the background over there.
Yeah, thanks, Ariel. Nice to talk to you.
All right, there he is, the one and only Rory MacDonald. A very special person, a very special fighter in this game, just 29 years young, turning 30 in July, so a month or so after his fight against Neiman Gracie. And so there you have it. We'll take his word for it. He is going to continue. He wants to keep fighting. He feels good. He was a little confused, but he's going to keep on going. Fascinating stuff there from Rory MacDonald. All right, let's go from one British Columbia fighter to another. He was the only Canadian fighter to beat an American this past Saturday in Ottawa. He is the one and only Arjan Bhullar, and he joins us right now via the magic of Skype. Arjan, how are you?
Good, Ariel. Thank you for having me. What an honor to be here once again, my man.
Yes, it's great to talk to you. Is it sunny in there? What's going on?
It is. I got a little touched up this fight as well, and it's sunny, so I thought nice day to bust out the shades.
I appreciate it. Were you happy with your performance against Juan Adams on Saturday?
Yes. We got the W. Most importantly, we got the W for sure. One of the, if not, probably the biggest guy in the division. Maybe him, maybe Black Beast, right at the top for size. But end of the day, we got the W. But not satisfied. Want to get finishes, want to be exciting, want to push towards that, and that's what we're going to turn our attention to moving forward.
And so you revealed after the fight that your contract is up. Why did you bring this up afterwards? And sometimes it's become sort of a thing where fighters will bring this up leading up to the fight. You kept this quiet. You mentioned it to reporters afterwards. Why did you do it like that?
It's because it's not a reality till the fight's over. Then I'm officially a free agent and my contract's up. So the most important task at hand is to get the win and the fight. And then once that, on the back end of that, then officially my contract's up. And that's, most important to me, top priority right now, to make sure we handle things accordingly. I've got a great management group that I trust that are going to lead that for me moving forward and make sure that we stay with the UFC and continue building here.
Were there any talks leading up to this fight about signing a new deal beforehand?
Yeah, there was the contractor management. Again, I stay out of it. Mm-hmm. I'm the type of guy, look, I have management, I have them for a reason. They handle all that type of stuff so I can just focus on training. I'm a fighter, that's my job. I'm not a business guy or that type of thing. So, they did reach out, I believe, and connected with management. And I just, management was like, let's just focus on this fight, and we'll get to work thereafter. And that's where we're at. The first contract has been great. Obviously I had one hiccup there. but we've got a winning record in the UFC, learning to win, but also now gonna, it's how you win as well moving forward, and that's what I want to evolve to, and that's where I want to push myself towards.
So if that is the case, like you said, 3-1 in the UFC, 3 wins via decision, are you at all concerned that they will not extend a contract your way, a new contract?
I don't like to get into what ifs and worry for things I can't control. End of the day, I'm a fighter. They have, they run the best MMA promotion in the world. I feel, this is where I want to compete, and I bring value to the table. I hope they see that. I got a lot of passion, man. I like pushing the envelope, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. Added ambition. Even my management always tells me, stay patient, stay patient. So I'm learning that aspect. But, end of the day, I want to be a part of the biggest promotion in the world. I want to represent Canada. I want to take us to India, all of that stuff. And that's truly, after the Olympics, that's what got me excited for this. I'm a competitor. I want to be in there with the best in the world, and that's in the UFC, and I want to represent 1 billion strong.
It probably would come as no surprise. It feels like had you lost this fight, maybe then the pendulum would have gone in the direction of not re-signing you. Did you feel like there was a lot of pressure on you to go out there and win with that free agency hanging in the air?
Again, I tried to just put that behind me. Obviously, it weighs on you a little bit because your imagination takes a hold of you. So there's always that. But again, I trust my management. I trust the process. Most important thing was the fight on the weekend. And Juan was a tough dude, man. Props to him. We got a little bit in the media, got talking and stuff, and got tried to get the fans excited, that type of thing. But he came up to me after the fight. We had a good chat. He's actually a good dude, and I want to tip my hat to him, and a lot of respect for him. But moving forward, yeah, I'm excited. I'm headed to Hawaii in a couple of days here. I'm gonna be sitting on the beach, and I'm just hoping management and the company get together and get this thing worked out, so we're all sewn up and can refocus on the next fight in the future.
I was told, and I wrote about this earlier today, and I wanted to ask you about it, that there is some interest in you competing for World Wrestling Entertainment. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there's always been interested. I'm a big, huge respect to your NWO title there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I love that stuff. So, for a long time I've been a WWE fan. I obviously have a relationship with Jinder Mahal. And it was something that was actually, an opportunity after the Olympics and before I committed to MMA. And it's something that excites me. But like I said, at this point in my career, I want to be a competitive athlete for the biggest promotion in the world. And I think actually there could be a lot of crossover in India. The UFC did have their biggest international tryout in history was in India recently, a couple of months ago. So that market is yearning for something aside from cricket. Right. And they have Olympic wrestlers that medal in the Olympics consistently, Olympic boxers that medal in the Olympics consistently. And I just think, Dana says it all the time, and I agree. You don't have to sell the sport. People understand what's happening. So if we took this over there, that would be cool to be a part of, and that's what excites me at the moment.
At some point, is that something that you want to actually do? Become a pro wrestler?
It would be fun. It would be fun. Their schedule is grueling.
Yeah.
So that aspect's a little tough for me. But in terms of what it takes and what it's about, I would definitely like to jump in and give it a go. But that's down the road. For right now, it's about getting out to Hawaii, getting healthy as well. Ariel, there's something my team knows. Everyone at AKA locally. For the last month of my camp, I had to come back to Canada for the healthcare. I had some health issues. I didn't grapple for the last month of my camp, and I couldn't do any of my sprint work for my camp. I was riding a bike, that type of thing. So I want to get healthy. I want to get on a beach in Hawaii. Those are my top priorities, and let management take care of my contract, and then we take our next steps.
What was wrong?
We train hard at AKA.
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah. So, like I said, a month out, I had something come up, but it was never a question of pulling the plug on the fight. I signed the dotted line. I've competed before, where I haven't been 100% healthy. So I've been there before, and I drew confidence from that. Much like all these Olympians you had on your show today,
Yes.
the wrestling grind gets you there, man. So so I drew confidence from that. I'm like, I'll be able to make it, just train around the injury. It wasn't ideal, but we'll take care of it now because, the fight's taken care of.
Do you need surgery?
I got some scans coming up.
Okay.
I hope not. I hope I'll be all right. And we'll see. We'll see what the scans show and what the therapists say.
We have this photo of you, and I shared it a couple of weeks ago. You at the San Jose Sharks game, and there's the photo right over there. What was this for, and how did you get involved in all of it? You do a great job of representing your people. I mentioned last week, like you went out and did your own open workout. Like you really get the art of promotion, and it's not gratuitous. You just understand that with prize fighting comes, going the extra mile, promoting yourself, getting people emotionally invested in your story, and you have an amazing one. This particular story, you at the Sharks game, what was it all about? How did it come together?
Yeah, first of all, I just want to put it out there. Again, that's the whole ambition part, and my management always tells me, be careful, you don't want to step on anyone's toes and that type of stuff, get people upset. But that's really where I come from. That's my angle for that, Ariel. Is it's about connecting with the people, doing unique things, and being proactive for your own brand and for yourself. That's where I'm coming from with that stuff. And that the Sharks game was cool. It was I was in town, like I said, training down in San Jose. And the local community down there, the South Asian community, reached out to me. They said, we have South Asian night for the San Jose Sharks, and we would like you to be our guest, our VIP guest for that. And you know what? It was very cool to be a part of. Actually, the head photographer of the San Jose Sharks used to work for the UFC too, so it was cool to connect with him. The first ever South Asian NHL player played for the San Jose Sharks. Robin Bawa, he's a BC boy from Duncan, BC. So it was cool to kind of be a part of that, honor him. Big thanks to the Sharks for promoting diversity, all that type of stuff. And so that was a lot of fun.
Okay, and now you get to walk out with your turban as well. You feel comfortable. We can't end this now. We were just building towards something, right?
Absolutely, man. We got the whole brand and kind of identity out there. We're learning how to win, and I want to keep this train going, have this platform, and continue to build. We got momentum behind us, and I want to win in exciting fashion moving forward, and I'm excited for that.
And you're excited to fight Andrei Arlovsky. Why Arlovsky? Why do you want to neuter the pit bull?
I was excited. The emotions were running. I know Bisping like that. He had a good chuckle. That's right up his alley, that type of thing. I was just excited, man. I know they're coming. I'd heard that they're coming to Vancouver, and I'd like to be higher up on the card if possible. And I'm thinking, okay, hey, maybe we get a bigger name out there. Arlovsky, been around forever, been a former champion, seen it all. A lot of respect for him. So I don't want to get it twisted. I got a lot of respect for that guy, and still to do it at a high level at the age he's at is tremendous. So I had to start somewhere, and that was sort of a name that came to me. I just watched his fight last week.
Right.
I was like, hey man, maybe I fight him next. So that's sort of where that came from. But again, contract first, and then whether it's Arlovsky, whether it's someone else, I want to win in exciting fashion. I want to get a finish, and start with that.
All right. Well, I wish you the best, Arjan. Congrats on the win. Way to represent for the Canadian people on Saturday. I got my flag right over here. Way to do your thing, my man. Good luck with the contract. Safe travels. Get well soon, and keep us posted on how the talks go.
Thank you. Will do, Ariel. Appreciate it. Tune in a couple hours, everybody else. Beat the streets. Askren versus Burroughs. Can't wait.
That's right. I appreciate it. There he is. Arjan Bhullar stopping by, now a free agent, 3-1 in the UFC. Had a nice win against a good prospect in Juan Adams on Saturday. And yes, it does seem like everyone is buzzing because of Burroughs Askren. We had Askren in studio earlier today. That was a lot of fun. How about this that I saw across the wire moments ago, courtesy of the great Nolan King on Twitter? Matt Wyman is returning in Greenville on June 22nd. Matt Wyman. According to Nolan, it has been 1,674 days, 4.5 years in between fights for Matt Wyman. Yes, Matt Wyman. His last fight, November 22nd, 2014. Little known fact, I actually text Matt Wyman from time to time. Like, actually, I stopped recently, but I would text him from time to time asking him what's up because I always felt like he was one of the more interesting characters in this sport. And, well, I can't go through the whole thing now, but I've always tried to ask him, like, why did he leave so mysteriously? When is he coming back? And we'd always have these funny back and forths. Like, look at this. This last one. Okay, maybe I'll read it later. But anyway, Matt Wyman is a fascinating character, and I can't believe he's actually coming back. And he didn't tell me. Matt, you were supposed to tell me. You were supposed to give me a heads up. Hopefully, we'll talk to him in the coming weeks. For now, though, let us move along to our next guest. She is one of the top strawweights in the UFC. She's coming off a hard-fought win back in February. Looking forward to what is next for her. Let's say hello now to... Oh, okay. I'm being told to hang on one sec. I was getting all excited about Matt Wyman. I'm sorry. Matt Wyman. Okay, now we're ready. Sorry, got a little excited. Now we're ready. Cynthia Calvillo is back. And there she is. Oh, hello. Cynthia, how are you?
Hi. I'm doing good. How are you?
Who's this little guy or gal?
It's a boy. His name's Oso, my little sidekick.
Okay, what's his name? Oso?
Oso? Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means bear in Spanish.
Oh, wow. Okay, why'd you pick that name?
Okay. When I first got him, he was a little puppy. His face was a little snub-nosed. He just looked like a little white polar bear, so I named him Bear in Spanish.
This is incredible. I can't believe that he's just sitting there. Like, he's not even moving.
Yeah.
It's like he knows he's doing an interview right now.
No, he got excited when I told him I was going to go on the Ariel show. So,
stop it. Stop it.
No, he did.
I appreciate that.
He likes being on camera.
Well, I'm happy to have him. It's great to have him, and you as well. Okay, so there's a lot to talk to you about, Cynthia, and it's interesting timing because, of course, the title is being defended in your weight class on Saturday. But first, let's talk about you. I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, there's been some changes in your life. You're no longer at Team Alpha Male. Is that accurate?
Yeah, correct. I'm no longer training at Team Alpha Male anymore. There's just been a lot of changes since I first went in there in the last, year and a half, too. And I tried to stick it out, but it just wasn't working for me anymore. So I needed to make the changes.
What kind of changes?
Well, I just the coaching staff, a lot of it, the program changed since we moved locations. Of course, a big of it has to do with my head coach, Justin Buckles, who's no longer teaching there. He's no longer coaching there. So it just kind of made it a little bit difficult to my last two fight camps. And I just, decided that it was time to move on. I think it's just that time in my career to change. It just, I wasn't doing too very well. I wasn't too excited with the changes that were going on. So I tried to stick it out, but it didn't work out so much.
For your last fight against Courtney Casey in February, I noticed that Justin was in your corner, but also some alpha male guys were in your corner. Was that awkward for you?
No, it wasn't awkward for me. It was mainly my jiu-jitsu coach, who he has his own jiu-jitsu school, so he's a part of Team Alpha Male, but he's not like one of the main coaches there. And I did still train with the team, my teammates, but all of my technique and pad work and even just some practices, Justin would oversee all of it. So there wasn't much changes other than he wasn't there part of the gym, which was kind of big, but I made it work. But I just feel like it was too hard to be there the last two fight camps, just with everything going on, and I just wasn't happy to anymore. So I needed to make the changes.
When did you leave?
Well, honestly, I hadn't gone back since like my last fight, probably went once or twice. And then I just spoke to Uriah last week and, told him it was a really hard decision for me to make. And, it was just time for me to move on, especially if I want to, start my new fight camp. I want to start off fresh and just move forward.
How did he take the news?
He was okay with it. I mean, I guess he understood, it's at times, sometimes, fighters have to change, things just change, and it's not that it's not a good place to train at. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure it works out for a lot of the other fighters there, but a lot of things just changed for me, and it just wasn't working out anymore, and he understood that. So, it's just, he kind of wished me well, and that was it.
Okay, so the big question is, where are you going to train now? Where's your new home?
Well, I do know a lot of, there's a couple schools of jiu-jitsu and instructors or gyms I can use. I have training partners that I can use. So we're still putting all that together. There are some things in the work. So we're just going to play it out. Probably going to go to Vegas, get some training in there too as well. So it's going to come together once I'm waiting to get my next fight lined up. And once I do, then we can put on a good fight camp. We've been there before. I have Justin in my corner, so I think he'll do a good job of putting a camp together for me with the right people.
And so where do you live now?
I live in Sacramento. I'm still here.
Okay, but will you eventually leave, or do you want to stay there?
I'm not sure. I think this next fight camp we're going to stay here. I'm going to stay here in Sacramento. Okay. And then we'll see where it goes from there.
Regardless of where you go, Justin will remain your head coach?
He will. I know he's got a couple of offers for coaching, some really good ones. So we'll see what he does. I mean, it'd be great if I can continue having him as my head coach. He's done a lot of great things for me, but I also do understand that, he has his own career and, he wants to be a coach. He's gotten some pretty good offers for, in Singapore and Kazakhstan. So he's still working on those things, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Do you have your next fight yet?
No, I'm hoping so. I heard the UFC's coming to Sacramento, right, July 13th on my birthday. Oh. So I'm hoping that I can get a fight then. It's been a little bit difficult. I've been trying to get a fight since my last fight. Of course, I did have an injury, but I'm ready to get back in there, and I'm just waiting to see who will sign, the contract to fight me. And so far, I haven't been getting very good answers. I'm hoping I get some good news this week. If not, I don't know. Everybody says they want to fight, but when it comes down to it, nobody's really signing the contract, or they're signing to fight some other people. So I'm not sure what's going on.
I remember back in February after your win over Casey, you mentioned wanting to fight Michelle Waterson. Is that still a fight that you want?
100%. So actually, when I fought Courtney Casey, this last one, I had called out Tatiana Suarez, but
right.
Nobody. They were gonna give me that shot. They were actually gonna give me that shot, and I was gonna be really excited. But unfortunately, at that time, right after my fight, I had some injury to take care of my shoulder. I had a tear in my shoulder, PRP. So they had asked me to fight April 12th, I think, or whichever. I forgot what day the April card was, and I couldn't. So then, they went ahead and matched up Nina and Tatiana for June 8th. And I had to just sit back and wait again. I knew how huge of the opportunity was, but I couldn't take it. And then they offered me Claudia Gadella. I said yes for the week. I thought that I was going to be able to fight her maybe in July. I woke up the next day. They gave the fight to Ronda Marcos.
Why?
I want Michelle. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. Ronda Marcos is number 14 on number 11. Why would she want to fight ranked below me? I don't know. So now we're just looking. I'm asking for Michelle or Tisha Torres. I know they fought. They had some time off, but especially Michelle, man. I mean, we signed a contract. I actually have a contract from when we were supposed to fight each other last year in April. But unfortunately, I had to deal with that suspension. So I'm trying to finish off that contract. She don't have a fight coming up. She looked amazing in her last fight, and I would love to fight her. I would love to fight her in my hometown in Sacramento. She fought here. The last time she fought here in Sacramento, she choked out Paige in the first round, Right. I'm trying to fight. I was like, I'd love to fight Michelle Waters. I would love to finish off that contract, here in my hometown. If not, Tisha Torres, wherever, Vegas, preferably here in Sacramento. I don't care, but I just want to fight already.
So it's interesting on 115 because, like I said, Rose is fighting Jessica Andrade this weekend. I want to get your take on that in a moment, but then you have Suarez fighting Nina Ansaroff June 8th, and so that leaves Michelle open, although she is trying to get a title shot. Do you feel like, she has that history with Rose, doesn't have the history with Jessica? Do you feel like she might actually get a title shot regardless of what happens on Saturday, and then you'll kind of be left with not much that's interesting? Are you worried about that?
Yeah, I am and I'm not. I just want to fight. I think that if you win in an impressive way, I've already seen firsthand what could happen if you just take fights and you keep fighting and you look impressive. You'll get a title shot. Unfortunately, I had to deal with the suspension. I got a setback with losing to Carla Esparza. I would want to prefer to fight somebody so I can get back in the top 10, but at this point, I just want to fight. I don't care who it is. If she wants to get her shot at the title and she needs to have another fight, or if she wants to fight, I'm thinking me and Michelle fight, we can fight the winner of Nina and Tatiana, and then from there we'll go to the title or whatever. I just want to fight. I think I belong up there. I think I'm a dangerous fight for anybody. I think that's why Claudia decided to fight with Ronda Marcos instead of me. It doesn't make sense why she would fight somebody at a lower rank than me. I'm not sure what's going on, if they're just trying to take their time. I don't know, or she wants to wait for the perfect fight. But in this business, there's no perfect opportunity. You got to take them. That's why I was kind of a little irritated with myself. If I knew that I was going to lose the opportunity to fight Tatiana, I wouldn't even have got that PRP shot on my shoulder. I would have fought with the shoulder if I knew, because I knew how big of the opportunity is. You just got to be ready to fight and ready to go. So hopefully somebody steps up.
And as far as Tisha is concerned, you've asked for her as well.
Yes, I've asked for her as well. I've asked. I'm not sure. I think she wants to pick and choose where she wants to fight. I think she doesn't want to fight in Sacramento, maybe in Vegas. I don't know. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter. I just set up the fight, sign the dotted line. Let's just go.
At this point, you want anyone?
Fight. Yes. This is what I love doing. I love fighting. My only setbacks have been suspension or because I had to deal with the shoulder. And even then, it was really hard for me to turn away that fight, especially if I asked her. I knew how big it would be if me and Tatiana fought. That definitely would have been like a title eliminate, like for the next person in line to fight for the title. That would have been huge. And my manager, Rubenstein and Justin were both like, no, you can't. We're not going to let you go in there and try to take this fight with the tear in your shoulder, and I'm just like, so it was really hard for me because now I'm just sitting here waiting for somebody to take the fight. And so it just kind of like, it just made me think like, God damn, like, maybe I should have just done it. I would have already been fighting Tatiana this last 2 weeks ago.
Who do you think wins the main event this weekend?
I think Rose Namajunas is going to do it. She's a really smart fighter. Jessica Andrade, she's the heaviest hitter in the strawweight division. She just knocks people. Girls out. We seen what she did to Carolina. One punch knockout. So if Rose is smart enough, she's going to use her length. I know she's taller than Carolina. It's going to be a little bit tougher for Jessica to reach her. And I don't think Rose is going to sit there and just have a firefight and just bang. She's going to play her game smart, and I think she's going to end up winning by decision.
Wow. Okay. I don't think there's a lot of people that are picking that one. So I respect the fact that you're picking the champ, because I think a lot of people, considering how Jessica fights and also considering the fact that it's happening in Brazil, are favoring Jessica. Are you surprised that Rose is going to Brazil to fight the Brazilian?
No, I think it's great on her part. I think it's awesome experience to go fight somebody in their backyard, and even then to defend your title. I mean, I remember when I went to go fight Joanne Calderwood in Scotland. I mean, it was crazy, insane, but it was also something to experience as a fighter, to just go over there in somebody's hometown and they're all just yelling at you and it's crazy, and it's a different experience. But I think it says a lot about her. She doesn't care. She's ready to fight whoever and defend her title, even if it's in your backyard.
I love strawweight right now. It's a very interesting time in that weight class. Invicta just had a one-night tournament on Friday. It seems like there's new faces, new contenders, new players emerging all the time. This time next year, where is Cynthia Calvillo in all this? Are you fighting for a belt? Are you in that discussion? Are you already? What are you envisioning? Are you already a champion? Are you already fighting for a belt? What are you thinking?
100%. I mean, you never even know. I may get the chance to even fight for the title before the end of the year. For me, nothing's impossible. I think that if you stay ready and if maybe somebody, I mean, God forbid, I hope nobody gets injured, but you never know. A fight falls out, you got to be ready. You take that fight, it could change your life. So for me, my ultimate goal is from the beginning is to be the strawweight champion. So whatever way I need to get there and take those fights, like I said, it really hurt me a lot, the fact that I could not take that fight with Tatiana, because I knew how much faster that was going to bump me towards the title.
Right.
And now I just got to sit around and wait until somebody, we can meet their terms on when they want to fight me, which is crazy. You should fight whenever, whoever, if you're ready and you're healthy, freaking do it. I think that if you can beat me, it would say a lot to you as a fighter. I don't think that like I said, I still don't understand why Claudia wanted to fight Ronda Marcos, and who's ranked people lower than me. So, We'll see. I do think that the strawweight division is definitely the best women's division in the UFC, hands down. The most competitive, the most technical, the most fierce. I mean, they have some of the best, strawweight fighters there. And also, in Invicta too, they just freshly crowned Brianna Van Buren. I've known her for some while. She grew up close to same near hometown that I did growing up, and I trained with her a little bit. And she's tough. It doesn't surprise me that she got that title this past weekend. Do you feel like they don't want you to fight Michelle? Like, do you know if they've even reached out to her about fighting you? I mean, I think they did. I mean, I've gone before. I think I've been pretty vocal about it. I think she knows that I want to fight her. I think that any of these girls knows that I'd be down to fight any of them. Maybe she's trying to take some time off. I know she does a lot of things. She's a busy mom. She's a super mom, which is amazing. But if she wants to be a champion, you want to fight. How impressive would it be in her resume if she beat me? Which probably is not going to happen. But it'd be great if we have that battle. Then it'll instead of sitting around. I mean, I don't understand this whole sitting around and waiting for the perfect fight.
Well, I wish you the best, Cynthia. Thank you for coming on and explaining what's going on with you. Good luck with the move, wherever you decide to train. Good luck with getting that fight in Sacramento, if it is in Sacramento or somewhere around that time frame. Good luck with everything. It's great to see you, and I'm a little bit insulted, I must say. The dog just disappeared on us mid-interview. I guess I wasn't doing a good job.
I think he wanted a treat or something, so
my bad.
He got a little distracted. But no,
we even had a graphic
swear,
made for him.
Excited.
We even had a graphic made for him because we understand that he's like an Instagram celebrity. Is that accurate?
He is an Instagram celebrity. I can't wait to be able to take him to my fight week. That's another reason too. If I get in Sacramento, first off, I want my dad. My dad's never been able to see me fight live, and if I fight here in my hometown, I'll be able to finally be able to do that, which is amazing. But on top of that, Oso's going to be excited to be a part of fight week.
You see that? Look at the screen. Can you see the screen right now?
Yeah.
We had it made for him, and then he just bails. How rude. Unbelievable.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Thanks for doing this, Cynthia.
I really appreciate it. Of course. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully we'll get some fight news soon.
Yes.
I
and
hope
then we'll talk to you then. Good luck.
All right. Thanks.
All right. There
Bye.
she is, Cynthia Calvillo, one of the best at 115. And interesting to note that she is picking Rose this weekend. Rose Namajunas going up against one Jessica Andrade. I want to look at the odds. I used to have New York Rick do this for me. So as of right now, Andrade is a slight favorite going into that. Minus 122. Rose plus 108. Or plus 111, depending on where you're looking. Wow, how about that? The champ, the underdog. And it also feels like it's sort of, in many people's eyes, fait accompli that she's going to lose either in this fight or against Tatiana Suarez. And I feel like a lot of people aren't giving her respect, and I feel like a lot of people aren't giving her enough credit for going to Brazil to fight Jessica Andrade in the main event this weekend, UFC 237. I'm looking forward to that. It's been 13 months since we last saw her fight. It's been a while. All right, let us move along and say hello to our last guest of the day. He is one of the very best nutritionists in the game. He has been a part of the sport for quite some time. You see him there with the likes of Conor McGregor and many others over the past few years, climbing the ranks. All the respect in the world for the great Jorge Lockhart. He is joining us right now via the magic of Skype. There he is, Mr. Lockhart. George, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
It's going really well, George. All right, so this has been an interesting day because we've had a whole cast of characters stop by, dropping news here and there, dropping us little nuggets. And I understand that you have your own news to share. So let's hear what's on your mind these days, George. What do you got for us?
Little different. The company's doing really well. We've been working with a lot of fighters. I think recent card we had Israel, we had Dustin Poirier. A lot of guys that are coming up, man, and it's been a real good thing. I don't go to the fights a whole lot anymore. We have a team that does that. I think Ian Larios was out there, Eric Pena, we got Eric Chaligi, and obviously Tyler Mitt and all them. So they're kicking butt, taking names, and it's given me the opportunity to kind of spend some more time at home and work on other ventures. And one we have coming up is we're actually holding a fight in Georgia in August. We have a supplement line coming out, a CBD line coming out. We're using that kind of to promote that, and when the fight came out, I was like, well, dude, if we're gonna hold fights, might as well get on the card. You know what I mean? So I'm getting my fat butt back into shape and get ready to fight one last time. I have one last dance left in me, and so yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
So you are coming out of retirement. You are going to fight again in August.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Wow. And what date exactly?
So we're working on the venue right now.
Okay.
In terms of like negotiating the percentages, we have one of the promoters, Dave Oblas, is helping us out a lot. I think he's the biggest promoter in Georgia, and he does like the NFC fights and things like that. So we're working on the venue, but we know it's going to be in August, which gives me time to practice what I preach and actually get down to weight.
And some fans might not know, but you actually used to fight. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your record 11-7.
Yeah, it's actually 12-7, but won't pull out Sherdog. But
all right.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah,
did Sherdog get it wrong? Because we corrected them a couple of weeks ago as well. Do we need to correct them again?
Oh no, dude, I'm gonna be on the shit list. But yeah, there was a fight I had against a guy named Chip Tate that I never got, I think, put on there. But 12-7, 11-7. I'll get that one more. It'll be 12 on there no matter what.
Right.
At the end of this one.
Tomato. Okay, and when was the last time you fought?
I think it was 5 years ago.
Wow. And you walked away because you were starting this business?
Yeah, there was a whole lot of things going on. I remember I was doing a business deal before my last fight. I was literally talking numbers, and they were like, "Hey, Lockhart, you're up next." And I was like, "Wow, man, back in the day, fighting it's all or nothing. You have to have your, mind, spirit, everything's got to be in it." And at that point, I'm like, "Man, I have too many things on the plate." But as of right now, looks like things are opening up, and my son's never actually seen me training for a camp, never seen me in that light. I'm the food dude now, but being a former Marine, being a former fighter, I still got that mentality, and I love doing it. I have no aspirations of being a champion or anything like that. I just want to go out there and throw leather.
And when you say this promotion, this event that you guys are putting on, what do you mean by that? Like your company is putting on this event?
Yeah, Lockhart Elite is actually going to be promoting it. So we might have one fight per year, as a way to promote the new line of stuff. We work with 8-Man, and we do a lot of stuff with them. There'll be a tons of stuff there for that. Then we have the supplement line that we have coming out. Like I said, the CBD line coming out. So, and it's funny because like right now we do certifications like all over the country, and all the certs want to do like a reunion. So it'd be fun to have everybody out there and, promote new stuff, and just, it'd be a good environment. And
so who will you be fighting?
Well, honestly, I don't have a fight yet. A lot of people ask me who I want to fight. And as another food dude, if there's anybody that I want to punch in the face, it might be Mike Dolce. That'd be a fight that I'd want to make. There's a lot of things that he's brought up about me. He's attacked my character. He's attacked our company. Dan Leith, he's my business partner. The guy's, he's a former jarhead. He's a former Marine. My other business partner, Tony Caff, it's a military-owned company. Tony Metcalf was one of the first guys in Saudi Arabia. Dan Leith was a Bronze Star recipient, like a former Marine as well. And he goes online and really talks about my entire team, and attacking me is one thing, going after my team and the guys that are trying to go out there and do well, guys like Ian Larios, and, he's attacked him, and I'm just like, it's funny because when we're face to face in person, he's like, "Hey, what's up, man?" And online, it's a totally different story. So, we never actually respond to any of the stuff that he says about us. He says, we send people to the hospital and we don't know what we're doing, and, this and that. And, we never actually respond, because I think at this point we'd actually give him more credibility by bringing his name to the picture. But if he wants to squash the beef, I know he's got a lot of animosity towards me. If he wants to get in the cage, I'd be more than happy to throw leather at him, man. It's like either knuckle up or shut up. I just I don't see a whole lot of good, talking smack in the on social media.
Wow, this is fascinating. The two most well-known nutritionists in MMA, you and him, I don't think there's any question about that at this point. I have noticed that you have done you have done your best to not try to engage in a public back and forth, but here you are essentially calling him out. So this will kind of shed light, I think, on all the stuff that maybe has been said in the past. Is it Dolce or bust for you? Like if he says, because for those that don't know, Mike Dolce has fought. He has been on The Ultimate Fighter. I'm looking at his record right now, 5-10. He hasn't fought since 2010, so it's been quite some time. If he says he's not interested, will you still go ahead with this, or do you really just want to fight Mike Dolce?
No. I'm fighting no matter what in August. Like I said, I love fighting, and I'm the food dude. I never forget my place. It'd be cool to fight another fellow food dude, another guy that, like you said, he's fought before. I think, like I said, I think he's got a lot of issues with me, and he has a lot of issues with my company. And instead of going back and forth, on Twitter, on, Instagram, or on podcasts and stuff like that, settle everything in the cage. And, it's the way we do it where I come from, but, it's up to him.
Why do you think he has issues with you and your team?
All right. Well, I think we kind of came in, we took over the industry, and I think that he's probably a little ticked off about that. I think he brings up things where I actually wrote to him and offered, to work with him. I wanted to work with him, and I did. He's very good at marketing. I think he's phenomenal at marketing. And I thought that me and him together, we could help a lot of fighters. That was the overall goal. That's always been our overall goal. And I think that's why our company continues to grow, because we genuinely care about the fighters. We genuinely care about people. And when you have that genuine concern, you get retention, you get, continued business and things of that nature. Whereas with him, I'll bring one example with Johnny Hendricks. I get super close. When I'm out working with somebody for a camp, man, they become my boys. I'll love them unconditionally. And, Johnny missed a weight on something, and the first thing he did was broadcast it, saying, "Oh, he didn't use the Dolce system." These guys go through enough crap as it is, man. And that's supposed to be your boy, and you're using it as a marketing tool. There's a lot of things I know. There's a couple of people in the company. They're like, "Hey, Lockhart, do you really want to do this? Because he's going to come back and he's going to say all these things." And I'm like, "Well, he's basically said everything he possibly could." He calls me No Integrity George. He calls my buddy, or the people on my team, calls them fuck boys. And I would love for him to tell that to my business partner to his face. Leith is a pretty calm guy. He's a very, very chill guy. But there's lines that you don't cross, and I think that he's crossed them. But if he doesn't take the fight, I'm still fighting. It's going to happen no matter what, man. And I'm going to be put through. I think the team's excited to do my actual weight cut. I think they're waiting to put me through the ringer. But it'll be fun, and I think it's really good to know and remember what these fighters are going through every time we go out there. They're so grateful and they're so appreciative, and it's funny because I'm like, man, you guys are the ones that do it all. I just tell you, the bath or the sauna, the temperature and things like that. So it's going to be fun to get back in there and really just remember what it's like to cut all that weight.
When's the last time you spoke to Mike face to face?
I was working with Connor in Vegas, and the PI was having basically a symposium, and I think he was talking to Andy Galpin, and I walked by, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And I just, with me, no matter where I am, or what you see is what you get. I'm not going to fake the funk and be nice to somebody, be like, "Hey, how you doing?" When he correlates me and my family to, he's correlated me to a lot of really bad things, and I'm not going to be like, "Well, it's not true," because it just gives more fuel to the fire. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to social media.
Have you ever had a good relationship with him?
When we first talked, the very first time. I was like, "Hey, man, let's do the marketing. Let's get together." And, I was still coming up, man. And he was like, "Yeah, let's do this. It's awesome." And nothing came to fruition. I did email him, "Hey, you want to make this happen?" Never heard back from him again. And then I got asked questions about, his science and stuff like that. And I've never actually personally attacked him, his character or anything like that. But I just said, his nutrition. I haven't heard anything that actually was groundbreaking or anything that was, something that I was in awe of. And that's kind of where it went downhill.
Do you think he is jealous of your success?
No, I honestly, I think that Mike Dolce is a successful guy. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's territorial and being like, hey, like, this is where I started. I won't take that away. The guy was a pioneer in this sport. He was the first one that did it. Made, not the first person, but he was the first person I think that really shed a lot of light on the nutrition aspect, and people are starting to realize how big it is, how important it is. So, in all due respect to him for that, cool. And then he also gave me the blueprint of what not to do with people. So again, thank you for that.
By the way, how old are you, George?
I look like I'm 50, but I just turned 36.
Get out of here. You're 36?
Oh, yeah. It ain't the years of the car. It's the mileage on that bad boy. Between Marine Corps and fighting, man, it's put a lot of years on me. But
wait a second, George. When's your birthday?
Oh, okay, so I didn't just turn January 26th.
You turned 36 in January?
Yeah.
George, I'm older than you. How is this possible?
Bro, I know, dude. We just did a certification. So we do these certs, and we had a certification in Ottawa. And we have this game that me and Lee play. Like, I'm married. I don't care. Like, I look old, whatever.
Yeah.
But we were like, well, how old do you think he is? And everybody's like, 43. And I told him, I'm like, I know when you say an age, when you tell somebody an age, it's usually you cutting like 5 years off.
Yeah.
And they started laughing. And one of the certs was literally like, he was like, yeah, but if I said like 35, 36, you'd be like, okay, he's trying to kiss my butt, And then they're like, well, how old are you? And I'm like, 36. And they were just like, oh, holy crap. So,
okay, well, you wear it well.
Well, I will tell you, like, one of my favorite pastimes, Ariel, is when I always tell this to search too, when if anybody's ever bored, to look up one of my interviews with you and read the comments. I will I'll say something about nutrition, about whatever, and there'll be 600 comments on my voice. Like, like this diet, consists of Marlboro Reds, or is that Don Fry's son? And like, it cracks me up, man. I laugh my ass off. But yeah, I look old and my voice is a little raspy, though. I don't smoke or anything like that.
Where will you train for this fight?
So it's funny because Kavanaugh, I've gotten the chance to work with a lot of different gyms and see a lot of different people, and me and him have really clicked. I love how he coaches, how he mentors people, and he's got this new gym open up. Anytime I get a chance to go to Ireland, I'm there. So if I can go out there, especially with this new gym that he's opening up, I would love to train out there. It'd be a dream come true to have him corner for me, or train me as much as possible. I know how busy he is and stuff like that, especially with the grand opening. But that's where I'll go. While I'm out here, I'll go to SBG in Athens, SBG in Beaufort, and ATT Gwinnett and ATT Atlanta. Like Jucao trains out there, and Douglas Lima, Diego Lima. They got a really sick gym. And the cool thing is Brian Stan's still out here.
Yeah.
So like, bro, he's like, let's get back to it. One last dance. So he's gonna come back and train me for striking and stuff like that.
Oh my gosh, this is incredible. The gang getting back together. Now Brian's gonna come out of retirement too.
That would be gangster. But
that would be incredible.
I don't know. I'm happy about it now, but after I come home with a dead leg and black eyes, I'm probably gonna be like, you know what, maybe training with him wasn't such a good idea.
Wow. And what weight?
Well, I'm looking at 185. I'll fight Dolce at whatever weight he wants to fight. Right now, I'm at I'm sitting around 230, 225, 230. So I'm probably gonna fight around 185.
Okay. Oh my gosh. When this show is done, George, I'm going to walk up to the head offices of ESPN Plus. We need to put this on ESPN Plus. Lockhart versus Dolce. There can only be one nutritionist in MMA. The loser has to leave the sport. Those are the stipulations. What do you think?
I don't get 100%. Absolutely.
All your clients have to go to the winner, no matter what.
I wouldn't do that to them.
Wow, this is something else. This is incredible stuff. This is high drama, George. What do you think?
You
think he says yes?
Honestly, I haven't got a clue.
Okay.
I don't have a clue. I think that dude just seriously dislikes me, to say the things that he says. He's had entire podcasts where he's just talking smack about me. So yeah, man, I think it'd be awesome. If he's like, you know what, let's take that energy out in the cage. I'd be ecstatic.
Wow. Okay. Does he have a deadline as to when he has to respond?
Well, I don't want to screw over another fighter, but honestly, if he called me up the last week, I'd be like, hey, look, we'll find you another fighter. I'm gonna take this.
Wow. Okay. Clearly you want to fight him. All right. Well, I appreciate you you coming on the show and talking about all this. By the way, before I let you go, I'm curious about this. I know that your full-time job is still, nutrition and working with the fighters. UFC is starting to do a lot of this in-house, hiring a company to do the meals and whatnot. Has this hurt your business?
No, we've constantly doubled in size every year. You know, we just picked up Combate. Like, we're literally doing everybody in Combate. And we also do a lot of people in boxing. There's a lot of people I can't talk about with the boxing scene, but you'll see pretty soon a lot of stuff coming out. And in terms of the UFC, like, they have people that they give them, I guess, pre-planned meals and stuff like that. What we do is we actually do the actual weight cut. There's a lot more to it than just giving people food. We also take care of their rehydration, the actual cut itself. Like, how hot's the bath supposed to be? How long can you be in there? Do you check their blood pressure, their vitals? Whereas there's nobody that's actually doing that with the UFC. We definitely don't work against the UFC. We don't work for the UFC, but we have a job because of the UFC, and I never forget that. And people from PI love them to death, very knowledgeable. They're great at what they do, and we just kind of bring, something a little extra that maybe they can't do. I don't think Clint can go to every room and cut weight with all these fighters. I don't know how that works, but yeah. Okay,
fair enough. Well, this is very exciting stuff, George. Good luck to you. I hope it comes to fruition. I think it would be a lot of fun. The 36-year-old, quote unquote, George Lockhart coming out of retirement one last time, fighting in August, potentially, maybe, we'll see, against Mike Dolce. Wow, this is something. All right. I appreciate you doing this, George. Good luck and keep us posted.
I appreciate it, Ariel. Thanks a lot, brother.
All right, there he is. George Lockhart, one of the best voices in MMA as well. That was a fun way to end the show. We'll reach out to Mr. Dolce and see what he has to say about all of it. Perhaps we'll get a response in the not too distant future. All right. I do believe we are out of time. We've gone a little long here. I did want to mention one thing is I got into stuff a little quicker than usual on this particular episode because we had Ben Askren standing by. If you missed Raymond Daniels on Saturday, shame on you. What a main card in Birmingham from Bellator. Not only Raymond Daniels, Fabian Edwards, Brent Primus with the Go-Go Plata. Just amazing stuff. But the Raymond Daniels 720 and then the knockout, that was everywhere. That was on like every major outlet, social media account. Incredible stuff. I reached out to Raymond. He's actually in the air as we are speaking right now. So hopefully we'll get to talk to him in the future because that was amazing. And that was his first professional MMA victory, his second pro MMA fight. His first was 11 years ago in Strikeforce. I was there for that. He got submitted by Jeremiah Metcalf, took a break, went back to kickboxing. Now he's back and he's hitting 720 knockouts. Holy smokes. That was amazing. And yes, I was going to say something, but then I heard her say, no, so I'm not going to say anything. Only like 3 people know exactly what we're talking. Yes. Okay, I was going to say, can I say that? I was going to put her over. Okay. Someone in the back. It's not that big a deal. Someone in the back knows Raymond Daniels. She's friends with Sage. He's going to Singapore to corner Sage this week. So I don't know if we'll even talk to him on Monday of next week. But anyhow, go see that knockout if you haven't. And one last thing, courtesy of my friend Shamatkar Sandhu, he just tweeted me this. John Jones has responded to Daniel Cormier, but it's not loading on my screen. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me? It's actually, what is happening? Like the pic, oh, there it is. So ESPN MMA tweeted the quote from DC earlier today talking about John, and John Jones on Instagram replies, somebody tell that man to just stop already, with a crying emoji and then a laughing emoji. John Jones, very quick on the social media. He'll always respond. John, if you're out there, if you want to come on the show next week, we'll talk about it all. We'll figure this out. For now, though, we are out of time. Good timing there. How about Corporate Jake leaving us high and dry, going to Rio like 9 days earlier? Look at this train. It moves along. We don't need them. We don't need any of them. New York Rick, out of here. Corporate Jake, out of here. As long as I got Voice of God, Jay, Brittany, who I don't have a good name for at this juncture, and the rest of the crew back there, I'm good.
Should we just call her Karate Brit?
Karate Brit.
Karate Brit.
We've got something. Anyway, it's been a fun day. Ben Askren's competing in like an hour and a half. I'm anxious for him. I'm going to ask him to text me. I should have asked him when he left. Like, you know when a mom tells her son to text them when they get there? He should have texted me just to make sure that everything was okay. So check that out tonight if you are so inclined. For now, though, we shall say goodbye. Thanks to all our guests. Thanks to all of you. Thank you very much to Ben Askren for stopping by. Good luck tonight. Thank you very much to Randy Couture. Good luck to the PFL. Thursday, Long Island. I'll be there. Debut, ESPN. Thank you very much for all the nuggets, Daniel Cormier. Thank you to Rory MacDonald. All the best to Arjan Bhullar. Thank you very much, and good luck to Cynthia Calvillo. And thank you to Jorge Lockhart. If you missed anything, check it out on the app, YouTube, Twitter, iTunes, all those places and more. Back next week. Same time and place. Till the same. Peace.